Old game was try to give a girl like the whole fucking Bill Cosby shit where you try to drug a girl to have sex. That's old game. New game now, you know what it is? You just show a girl that you can get her a bunch of fucking attention and they will do anything, bro. It is the wildest shit that I've ever seen. What's going? She's like touching your arm. Dudes, pickup artists are like, oh, those are IOIs, indicators
Right.
of interest. No, they're not. No, they're not. They're not indicators. Indicators of interest is when she comes over.
Sartain is telling the truth. I don't think his testimonials are fake. I believe that he's being real. Many people ripped off Mystery. He shocked me. He said, I don't like Eric either. I said, what? You're his business partner and you're his friend. He said, I may be his business partner, but I only pretend to be his friend. I have a monkey and I want to know what the monkey knows. So I put the pet monkey in a cage and I studied the monkey while it's in the cage. And I thought to myself, this guy's fucking sick. No, what a cunt. What a fucking piece of shit cunt.
Damn. Alrighty, guys, welcome back to the Dating Coach panel extravaganza shit show that goes on that I do once a month. Yeah, we just do that. I'm here with Michael Sartain and Hashim Smith, Mr. Locario. Where are you guys? I know the fucking answer to this, but where are you guys calling in from?
Yeah, I'm from Brooklyn, man. Brooklyn, New York. You know what I'm saying? Just chilling, you know. Yeah, man. So what's going on with you?
I'm in the den of iniquity here. I'm on the Las Vegas Strip.
Nice.
The den of what?
Iniquity. The den of iniquity. The Las Vegas Strip.
As a redneck, I don't pretend to know what these words mean, but moving on anyway. First question. What are ways that people can hold themselves accountable when taking action towards a specific goal?
Mike, you want to go first?
Yeah, that's pretty vague, but yeah, no, I'll give you a couple of things. So for me, so what I like to do is have like a function of gratitude. Like, so for instance, whenever I have something that's rough that's going on, a lot of times I'll just consider, dude, the majority of the human experience has been nothing but what? It's like misery, right? We didn't have antibiotics until 1947. We weren't able to fly in airplanes. Women died at like somewhere between 10 and 25% of them died in childbirth. Like it was crazy how bad the world was. For me, whenever I don't feel like I'm accomplishing something, I just look at it and I'm just like, how fucking grateful I am to be living in a time where, you know, I can fly to any other different, I'm coming to New York in April. Like I can fly to different places in the world. I can talk to my friends at the speed of light right now, basically for free on Zoom. I just have a ton of gratitude for my situation. Secondly, for me, what I recommend for a lot of my clients is the concept of present moment awareness. So this is like, basically, I don't interpret anything. I'm fully accepting of the fact that either my body hurts or I'm tired or something else happened. There's no resistance to the present moment whatsoever. And then third is this kind of understanding, this complete and total acceptance of the fact that I'm going to die and you're going to die and we're all going to die. Me and Elon Musk are going to be in the same place in 300 years. And so when you do that, it kind of relieves you of the burden of just like procrastination to me. And so for me, the present moment awareness, the focus, the gratitude, those are the reasons why I'm able to focus on doing one task at a time and taking action. Alternatively, or additionally, one of my favorite books is called The One Thing by Gary Keller. And he goes over the concept that humans can't really multitask. You notice how you'll see women and they'll be like doing their makeup and talking to their friend. They're not actually multitasking. So for them, it's sort of like this, what is it? What's the word? It's a meditation. Women will get in, they'll have like 3 girls take over my bathroom and they'll just be fucking doing makeup in there for like hours. Whereas if we were men and we had to do that, we would focus on one thing. It would just be silent focus. We would get the fucking thing done and then we'd move on to the next thing. So focusing on one thing at a time, that Gary Keller, it's Gary Keller from Keller Williams Realty. When he wrote this book is one of the greatest things for me. I focus on nothing but one thing at a time early in my day, and it makes me incredibly productive. And then lastly, this is an MOA. We talk about checklists and alarms. In the U.S. military, we have checklists for every single thing we do. You have to memorize the checklist, but you also, it doesn't matter if you've been a pilot for 40 years, checklist has to be strapped to your leg before you take off. There's no exceptions to this. And then having alarms for when I get onto things and when I get off of things. Those are also things that help me accomplish goals. And I keep coming up with one more. One more is Dan Martell's book, Buy Back Your Time. When you get to a certain level of success, you need to take every single thing that takes energy away from you and you need to hire someone else to do it. You need to get to the point where like you're literally like, I like creating content. I like coaching. I like doing fulfillment. That's all I want to do. I don't want to pay taxes for my company. I have a guy who does that. I don't want to sit there and edit videos. I have a guy who does that. Doing that, it energizes you so much. So I get more done and I'm actually more efficient the more of my time I buy back. So that's what I would do.
I
Thanks
like that
to
idea.
you, I started reading Gary Keller's The One Thing quite a while back, actually. Probably my new favorite book now. So that was really helpful for me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that idea of definitely hiring people to do the other things. You know what I'm saying? Because it gets to the point where, you know, you're so busy and you want to be efficient in all these other areas. And it's hard to do that if you're draining all your energy doing all the other stuff that you could hire somebody else to do. So I definitely agree with that. But as far as the question specifically, I would say one of the things that can make a person hold themselves accountable first is being able to see themselves achieve a goal first and foremost. So the problem is that sometimes when people think about goals, they think about something super crazy and big, and then they strive for that, and then they don't hit the goal. So then they feel some type of way, and then it causes them to not try to achieve their goal. So I say do something small first. You know, it could be anything, and achieve that goal so that you can see that you can actually achieve a goal. So once you realize you can, then you'll be more accountable for the bigger goals that you're trying to meet, because then you say, okay, well, now I realize that it's actually my fault if I don't achieve this goal, because I understand that I can achieve goals so that I achieve this small goal. So if I'm trying to do these other things and I'm not doing it, then I can't really blame anyone, because I understand logically that it's all on me. But it's like, I think sometimes what happens is that you have to be able to get a person to do something that is small, that is easily achievable in a shorter amount of time, so that they can do that and see that it's possible, so that they could do more and more, you know, goals down the line. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. The idea of, so, you know, there's a lot of woo-woo stuff people talk about with aspirational quotes and stuff like that. Visualization actually has a place in psychology. It's a real thing. If you can visualize yourself having a certain level of success, or what another great idea is to find mentors. And a lot of times for me, if I can find somebody who's in my same, you know, around the same age, with the same size business, who dealt with similar problems that I dealt with, and then came up with a solution for those problems, I'm more motivated to solve those problems. Again, like the first, you know, woman or African American who becomes president, that's going to be the hardest. The next one is going to be, well, I've seen someone do it before. When Roger Bannister broke the 4-minute mile, the next guy to break the 4-minute mile was 43 days later. So, and then also when Michael Johnson broke the world record in the 200, there were 7 other guys in that heat that also broke the previous world record in the 200. So when you can see other people accomplish those goals and visualize it, that's why I recommend guys all the time. It's like, you're starting a new business, go on TikTok, find the guy who's going super viral, making content around that business, even if it's like staining wood flooring, or you're an accountant, something super boring. You can find somebody who's crushing it doing that, and it gives you more confidence and gives you a direction. Humans need a direction. As much as they need motivation, they need a direction. They need a Super Bowl to try to play for. You give them that kind of motivation internally. You know, another great book with Simon Sinek, Start With Why. If you can figure out what your why is, that is also a great way to help with your motivation.
Yeah, it's real talk. Real talk.
All right.
Yeah,
Next one. What's your policy on alcohol?
What do you think,
As far
Locario?
as, far as what? As far as should you drink it or not, or like what do you mean? Just anything?
Yeah, that is a bit vague.
What you said?
So for in terms of when guys go out at night to nightclubs or to bars on dates, so we can split this into a few categories. You can use alcohol on dates. You can use alcohol when you go out at
Yeah.
night meeting people. You can use alcohol just as an alcoholic, just for any fucking reason. So what's your
Right.
personal how do you use alcohol yourself personally, and how do you um advise others to do so in an environment like nightlife, for example, go into a nightclub?
Yeah. I mean, I would say this is that as long as you know how to use alcohol responsibly, and you're not using alcohol as any type of crutch or any type of way to to try to make things easier for you in that environment. So meaning like, so sometimes what guys will do is like, you know, when they say the liquid courage thing, is like, well, let me drink, get drunk, get loose, and then I'll go approach women or talk to women, stuff like that. I don't agree with that, because then what happens is you're using that as a crutch. And the reason why you're drinking is because you have a fear of just being sober and talking to women. Also, I don't agree with guys using alcohol to try to loosen women up, because you want the woman that you're talking to and interacting with is as sober as possible. So even if you're on a date, you know, you can get like maybe a drink, two max, but make sure y'all are both, you know what I'm saying, not drunk or whatever, and then that's cool. So as long as it's not used in a way to like cope with your fear, and as long as it's not used in a way to try to coerce anyone, then I feel it's fine. You know what I mean? As long as you can hold your liquor and you enjoy, because I like to drink sometimes, so I go out, I get a drink and everything's cool, but it's like I know my limit, so I'm not going to be stumbling, drunk or going crazy and all that other stuff. So as long as you do it in moderation and you're not trying to do it for any nefarious reasons, then I think it's cool. I think it's good.
We have a pretty strict rule in MOA. Men do not pour women's drinks. So wherever in a social situation, this is to protect men. A couple things we have rules on. Number one, there's always cameras in my apartment. This is something you guys have all been to parties before, college or whatever, where there was a girl who clearly nobody drugged, but she tells everyone she was drugged because she fucking drank too much. And so one of the ways we got away from that, to make sure that never happens, is we always have cameras on in the house, number one. And number two, men never pour women's drinks. We will hire a female bartender, or we'll have a girl who pours women's drinks. We never have men do it. That's been an issue. It's just a function of protecting yourself. That's one of the main things I've said with the alcohol is concerned. For me, I don't drink at all. So when I go out in these social situations, I'm often asked to drink. And it's one of these things where it's a very slippery slope, because I know for some women, whenever I talk to like really attractive women, I was like, the first time you had sex with a guy, were you high or drunk? And about 85% of the time they say they were high or drunk. And when the first time, not every time, but the first time. And so you understand with some women, and again, this is a slippery slope, this is a touchy subject. With some women, part of their own internal seduction process is they go out and get fucked up and go meet a dude and go hook up with dudes. Right. If women want to drink, my whole thing is I would never want to ask a woman to drink, to get drunk, to go to try to have fun with her. But I will let her drink if she wants to drink. I'll let her drink whatever she wants, up to a certain point. I'm not going to like more than like 4 shots in an hour is way too fucking too much. The women are with tiny women, you know, sitting there trying to drink that much. I've seen it before, and they just get absolutely hammered. But one of the things that's very different is, for men, we have social anxiety. What is it? Women have last-minute resistance, and men have first-minute resistance, right? So men will have approach anxiety because their ancestors, if they screwed up and actually, you know, made a bad impression on the other women in their tribe, they were never going to have sex with anyone. They were going to die a virgin, right? And we see that if we look at the Y chromosome spread throughout history. It's something like 40% of men and 80% of women have had sex throughout history. Like over half of men died virgins. A lot of people don't realize this, especially when you come to the realization half the Earth's population died before the age of 5. Before the year 1850, half the Earth's population died before the age of 5. So it was like crazy numbers like that. So when it comes to that, when you have that realization, that's why men need that liquid courage in order to go up and try to talk to women. Women, on the other hand, don't have that same issue. They have an issue with like last minute resistance, where every time they have a new penis go inside of them, there's a feeling of anxiety initially. And I've talked to a lot of girls, and they're like, well, that first time I do it, they end up being drunk. This is not all women, obviously. It's not all women, but you'll notice this a lot of times with women who are like in party scenes, that go out a lot, or women that are going through a phase when they're drinking. So it becomes a very complicated subject, because I definitely do not agree with the idea of giving a girl Molly, Coke, marijuana, or alcohol to try to get her more loosened up to try to have sex with her. You're just asking for a lawsuit. And that's the reason why I've said before, guys, go out and get the little Nurio camera or the little Ring, have it in your apartment. This is also a really great advantage to having threesomes. When me and my girlfriend bring girls home, there's no, this has never happened to me. It's happened to people that I know, but it's like, when you're in those situations, you never have any questions. There's never any problem. And let me say one other thing. This is kind of off the subject. Whenever you guys go on a date with a girl, afterwards, if the date went great, if it went bad, but especially if you had sex with her, afterwards, you need to text her and say, hey, had a great time. Let's meet up again next week. Even if you have no intention of meeting up with her, if she responds, yeah, had a great time too, then there's no confusion down the line when all of a sudden her boyfriend finds out that she cheated, and then she's like, no, the guy did something to me. All that's out the door because you have a text message. This is from the show Billions. I don't know if you guys saw that. Bobby Axelrod's attorney was telling him this. It's like every time you go on a date with a woman, afterwards you need to text and be like, "Hey, I want to make sure you got home, had a great time. Hope we can catch up soon." And when she responds in the affirmative, she can't then later claim that something shady happened. Does that make sense?
Right. That's a fact.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. That's some solid advice right there. Here is a social circle one. How do you make sure that male friends in the social circle are cool and not a frat or secretly envious or planning to sabotage you?
Well, Michael, you can take that first since I know you do a lot of the social circle.
So it's an interesting thing. I'm reading. I've read the Beta Male Revolution before, but I'm reading Mode 1 for the first time this week, and by Alan Roger Curry. And one of the things he talks about, like his prescriptions at the end for dealing with haters and for not becoming a misogynist, are spot on. They're terrific. And one of the things he talks about in the book is like dealing with men who just can't, who start to feel as a threat. So, for instance, if you have a guy who has convinced, we'll call him blue pilled or beta or whatever, he just has a strategy that isn't working, right? He's being overly nice, changing his voice inflection, buying things for a woman, things that we would consider to be simpy behavior. If he's doing this in general, we know, the three of us know, that's going to be an unsuccessful way for him to get a girl, especially if for like short-term sex. It's just not going to happen. Women tend to not want to have short-term sexual intercourse with a guy like that. Someone like us, we would come into their life and then quickly notice that even if we weren't interested in the girl, her decision about whether or not she wants to have sex with us is very quick. And so him seeing her decision to have sex with us is quick, but whether with him, he had to wait and play like they were friends and stuff like that. That makes men very fucking resentful. Okay.
Right.
That very resentful. Let's take the exact same thing I said and let's use money instead. The guy who is constantly making excuses about why he can't make money. He goes from one NFT crypto scam to the next fucking thing where he's selling binary options. He's never makes any money, but he's always talking about being an entrepreneur. And then you go off, you read some great books, you scale your business, you start doing 7 figures a month. And then he also has hatred towards you. One of the things I found is that like the more I hang out with, Justin Waller's a great example. Justin Waller has the most abundance mindset I've ever met of anybody. I stay at his place whenever I'm in Miami. Me and Justin, I was talking to him about this. If Justin fucked every hot girl I've ever seen, I would never hate him. If Justin made $1 billion tomorrow, I'd be like, bro, congratulations. I would do nothing but support him. You need men like that in your life. And what you guys will notice is that when you level up in the gym and you level up with money and you level up with women, there's going to be a group of guys that are just going to kind of fall off like scar tissue. They just are. And you love them. You go back and you see them on Thanksgiving and they're fucking morbidly overweight. And they're like, yo, things were different during high school. And they're talking about their high school days. And you give them, you say what up to them during Christmas and Thanksgiving, but the rest of your time, those are not the guys you're going to make money with. Those are not the guys that are going to help you pick up girls. And those are not the guys that are going to help you in the gym. And it's a tough realization to come to. It's something that I often have to teach my clients. I have to coach my clients through. It's like, you leveled up. When people come to you guys, when you go home and someone says to you, yo, man, you've changed. You're fucking right. I changed. I hope I changed. That's exactly right. And when you get that message, you've changed. Especially my favorite one is the girl you used to have a crush on like 10 years prior. And she got a little heavier and you see her, at, when you go back for the high school reunion or whatever, and she goes, you've changed. And you just realize, okay, cool. That means I'm doing something right. When you start getting those messages, that means you're actually leveling up.
Yeah, that's real talk. It's funny. I would say like, with this question, I look at it like you have certain friends for certain things. So sometimes you might know somebody who's a cool person, but within these situations, you might not want to bring them around those particular situations, right? And so because they don't know how to handle themselves in those situations, which is going to cause, things to not go the way you want it to go. Because sometimes what happens too is that if you're, I've noticed this a lot. If you're a guy who, knows how to talk to women, you have game and all this other stuff. And let's say you're hanging out with a guy who may not, or who might be a little bit more insecure or whatever, just for whatever reason, he might actually sort of mess up situations for you in this situation, because he doesn't know what he's doing. So the thing is, you might want to leave him home or only hang out with him in other situations, and then go out by yourself, or hang out with other guys who understand the situation. So usually what I used to do is there'd be certain guys that I know that are cool, but I would never go out with them to, like, or I wouldn't invite them when I'm going out to talk to women. You feel what I'm saying? And then there's certain guys that I would invite them out if I'm going to talk to them, because I know they know how to handle themselves. So what I would say is that just understand who your male friends are, and figure out, okay, this is the type of guy I'll call for this. This is the type of guy I'll call for this other thing. And you don't really need to mix up the two, because sometimes what happens is that when you are in that situation, you might have a situation where that other person feels some type of way, secretly feels some type of way. But again, you also need to learn how to vet your friends too, because you don't want to be around people who have that sort of mentality also. And like you were saying, Michael, is that, some people are just going to fall off automatically because they're just not in the same sort of like vibe that you're in when you're doing what you're doing. So, I think at the end of the day, like the people who should be around you in those situations, I feel like will, in most cases, and the people who shouldn't be, they're going to fall off anyway. So it's like, so you just got to understand that at some point it's going to sort of balance itself out anyway. You know what I'm saying?
We got, guys, consider this an abundance mentality versus a scarcity mentality. So if I let's say Locario came down here to Vegas, and then we was like, hey man, I got a bunch of friends of mine, they're billionaires. These guys have scaled up businesses to like 8, 9 figures. We're going to go to dinner with them. Guys with abundance mentality be like, fuck yeah, we're going to go to dinner with them. Other people watching us from the outside would look at that and be like, you're only going to dinner with those guys because they're rich. Right. That's what a scarcity mentality is. An abundance mentality would be like, fuck, bro, that's a great opportunity. You're going to dinner with those guys so you can learn. That's the difference. That's the way abundance mentality works. That's one of the things that I noticed is that, like, a lot of people, when they criticize me for calling out like some of my friends, or talking about some of the guys that I network with. And I'm not bragging. What I'm saying is I didn't know how to accomplish these goals. And then Ty Lopez, Wes Watson, Brad Lee, those guys, even Brandon Carter helped me, Greg O'Gallagher, watching those guys and how they were successful. How to Beast, Myron Gaines, like all these guys, watching them over time, Rollo, it allowed me to say, okay, Rollo's Clips channel, look at, it works like this. Okay, when Myron talks about this conversation, it does better, because I'm willing to learn from other people. What you'll see is my favorite things is FitX Fearless, when he talks about, when I'm sitting here getting ready to go out with a girl and you think that I'm doing too much, but I'm still taking your girl. Like the doing too much thing, when you talk to somebody who runs a sales team, the guy who's super meticulous running his sales team and gets his sales team up to snuff to where everybody's closing at a super high rate, you might say that guy's doing too much or he's too anal. But it's like, no, he's taking your girl, he's taking your money, he's taking your clients. And so that's the thing. Men have a burden of performance. And a lot of people who have a scarcity mentality are going to look at us and call us tryhards or say that we're doing too much. And then that's kind of where you know, okay, I need to hang out with this person, or I need to stop not hang out with this person. Second thing I'll tell you guys is there's this thing called circles. And it's something I developed a while ago. Circle one are people who know everything about me. They could probably do damage to me, right? But I empirically trust them. My mom would be in this circle, right? My closest friends would be in the circle. My business partners would be in the circle. Circle two are people that I like, but they don't know all the gate codes. They don't know all the passwords, but I still like them. I hang out with them on a regular basis. I generally probably want to do business with them. They're good people. Circle three are people that I just don't know well enough. Like, they seem cool, but I just don't know well. These are a lot of people that I meet at the nightclubs or whatever. I'm like, I probably would like have a good time if I could hang out with that guy more, but I don't really hang out with them that much, so I don't really know. Circle four are people that I have to fucking deal with, but I don't want to deal with. And a lot of times these are guys at nightlife that I know they're just shitty dudes, you know, dope dealers, whatever, like guys that I just don't want to fuck with. And they're just like not like ripped off some of my friends, but like for whatever reason, like they know someone and I'm on stage next to them and I'm just being polite, but I don't really like them. And then circle five are people I just avoid no matter what. This is one dude I know. He got his girlfriend to like commit suicide, like the text message, like, you should go kill yourself, whatever. When I'm in the same room, I just fucking leave. I don't want to be near this dude. I know there's another dude who's like assaulted several women. Whenever he comes in the room, there's no, hey, what's up? I'm just fucking out of there. So I do like that. The guys who I party with on stage at Zook are not the ones I want to start a business with. They're in different circles. And so because of that, you can have those circles, but I still don't judge them. But so we call it discernment without judgment. I can still discern that this person right here is not a good person to work with, but I don't judge them. Just like the girls who come on my show. Girl came on my show the other day. She had 900 body count. Okay, not 900 body count. Great content. Please come on my show. Love having you on my show. You seem like a cool person. Would never fucking want to date you in a million years. So I can be discerning without being judgmental.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Absolutely.
crazy,
I see a lot of comments and just people criticizing other people just because someone was like in a video with someone else or in a photo with someone else. It's like every person you ever meet, if there was a photo with you and that person, I met Rolf Harris once. Rolf Harris, not a great guy as far as I know. But you know, that I wasn't friends with Rolf Harris, obviously, but that guy wasn't necessarily known to be certainly great in some aspects. So I always, well, I get this idea from Owen Cook, I guess, when watching his content years ago, to separate the artist from the art, something along those lines. Like we all love Michael Jackson. And there's criticism about him through various things I won't bother mentioning, but we fucking love his music. And we can separate that, but we need to understand that we can see the difference between a person's character and something positive that we can at least take away from them, even if there's a lot of negative.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Definitely.
And what's up with your shirt? What have you done with the real Michael Sartain? You're not wearing black.
No, I'm not wearing black. No, just House Stark for Game of Thrones. I don't know. I just felt like wearing something different. I was like, it's Saturday, whatever. I'll try something different.
Okay. Alrighty, what's next? Here's a very super basic one, very pickup-y. What's your advice for guys who don't even know what to say to a woman?
What advice to guys who don't know what to say?
Yeah, so guys who are so lonely, so unsociable, so introverted that they don't even know what to say to a woman and can't really imagine themselves. Well, they can kind of want to talk to women, but they just don't know what to say.
Yeah, well, the problem is I always tell guys, the more honest you get, the more you'll know what to say. So the issue is that guys don't know what to say because they're trying to think of something to say. And when you're trying to think of something to say, what you're essentially doing is that you're trying to come up with something that you think the woman is gonna be interested in, so that she can like reciprocate and show that she's interested. Talk about what you want and then say that. So I always encourage guys to practice being honest with women and letting them know exactly what they're trying to do, so that even when a woman rejects them or a woman's not interested or not trying to make anything happen, what happens is that they get into the habit or the mode of just being themselves and being who they are and not worry about the response. Because no matter what you say, there's going to be women who are not going to be interested, right? So it's better to say what you want and be honest, and then be able to get a response that's more authentic to what you actually want. So a lot of times the issue of not knowing what to say just really stems from being afraid of rejection and trying to think of something to say that's clever so that you won't get rejected. You know what I'm saying? So I just tell them, be as honest as possible. So even, for example, like a dude might approach a woman, and I actually said he said this literally. He said, I'm probably butchering a few words, but he basically said, hey, miss, I came up to you because I thought you was very attractive. I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm really nervous because I usually don't do this, but I just wanted to let you know you look real sexy in those jeans, and I think we should get together and hang out sometime. And then so the girl was like laughing about it, and she was, interested in the exchange information. So he was just honest about everything. He said, yo, listen, I'm nervous. I think you're hot. We should get together. And that's all, that's literally all he said. And then he was like, let's get, exchange numbers. They exchanged numbers, and they made it happen. So it's not really as complicated as guys like to make it. It's more so you just got to be honest and have the courage to do what you got to do. You know what I'm saying?
This has been a debate, right? That's something people have been having for a long time. And probably the origin of the debate was, number one, men having approach anxiety. And number two, when the pickup artistry started, let's go back to the game and Mystery. I interviewed Mystery last week on my show. They believed in canned routines. And canned routines, I think, were like training wheels for a lot of them. But canned routines, like Locario is saying, what it does is it avoids ultimate honesty and putting yourself out there for rejection. One of the problems that I've had with the pickup community over the last, couple decades is the concept of like always reframing rejection. Locario just said, sometimes girls just aren't into you, but take that rejection with zero emotion and just be like, okay, cool. This didn't work for me. But also notice when you dress better, when your teeth are straight, when you speak at a lower register, when you maintain masculine frame, and when you have more upper body muscle, notice how more girls are actually interested in you. There's like a group of women. I remember one time I shaved my head. It was like a couple years ago. I shaved my head, and I noticed there was a group of women that just weren't interested in me anymore. They didn't like it anymore. But then there was a separate group of women that were like super interested in me because I shaved my head. Those things are different. Same thing with like the tattoo sleeves. There's things that you can do. There's attributes that you can do to improve yourself. But at the same time, don't always reframe rejection. This is a really bad thing where dudes are like laying down in the middle of the street or they're eating food off. You guys seen this before? The guys who like won't shower for 60 days, the pickup artists that do this. Like that stuff is like, they're so invested in completely reframing rejection instead of accepting rejection. You remember those 3 things I said about accomplishing goals, the present moment awareness, the full and total acceptance that, hey, this girl likes me or this girl doesn't like me. I'm just not good enough. I've tried to get on certain people's podcasts. They never wrote me back. Fuck. They left me on scene. I need to fully accept, okay, this is where I am in the world, have no resistance or no total and complete acceptance of that idea. When you do that, it's a lot easier. And when you do that, it's funny because what Locario talking about, that happened for me. 2006, my dad was killed by a drunk driver. In 2008, I read this book called The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. And then when I came to that realization that, hey, listen, we're all going to die. None of this really matters. A total and complete honesty was so much more available to me. And I felt like that was probably the most attractive I've ever been, is when I can be that level of honest. So, but here's the thing. So the idea of canned routines, I get why people wanted to do it and why that was so, what's the word I'm looking for? So appealing. I think it's fine if the canned routine is like, one of my favorite things to ask a girl in Vegas is like, hey, do you live here? Do you live in Vegas? Is like, because if they don't live in Vegas, that's a very different answer than if they do. Then if I was in Brooklyn, I would do the same thing. Like, you from Brooklyn? And then we could just get into the point where we're talking. But it's just one of these things where it's like, the things that you talk about, for me, one of the things that I try to get to quickly is if I go up and talk to a girl, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to ask, some logistical question. And then I'm going to be like, hey, I just wanted to come up and talk to you because I'm curious. Although this is the only difference. I generally don't say I'm curious because of something that's physically attractive about her. What I'm going to say is, you seem interesting because of this, or some other reason, just because I do think you can still manufacture attraction. There is a seduction process that you can go through with some women. But the ultimate honesty that you can have, and then being in the present moment and not thinking about the next thing to say, I think is way more attractive to women.
Yeah, it's interesting too. Like, when I was going to say real quick is that sometimes what happens is, the more you talk to women and the more you're out there doing what you do, the more you're going to hear similar like conversation threads, and you're going to hear similar responses. And so what happens is that sometimes when you hear similar responses from women, right, then you usually will have a similar thing you would say to those responses. So a lot of times when the pickup artists would do the canned routines and stuff, right, what happened is they had like a story or whatever to say if they run out of something to say or whatever like that. But what happens is, what's even more beneficial is when you're talking to a woman and like she's saying something to you that you've heard 10 different times from 10 different women. And then you've responded this way to those women. And then 90% of the time, you always get this response back. So a lot of times when you're talking to more and more women, you start to see patterns in conversations. You see what I'm saying? And then so what happens is that once you pick up on that and you say, oh, well, last time I said this to this girl, when this same exact type of conversation came up, and this ended up being this type of situation. So then you can just use that over and over again. You see what I'm saying? Because you're going to find out that it's going to come back up, and then you just, add that into the conversation.
Yeah. You just start developing neural pathways for every type of response. This is like a guy who plays quarterback in the NFL for 10 years. After a while, he's seen every blitz there is. He knows every coverage there is. That's what happens when you go up and talk to women for a lot of time. So a lot of people will be like, well, that's not authentic. That's canned. Well, it's not really canned. It's just like humans have adaptations to do things that are better for themselves, right? And over time, when you talk to a lot of women, you start realizing, hey, man, when I talk about these subjects, women seem to get way more turned on. And when I talk about these subjects, they tend to not get turned on. And you find that with a ton of experience. But I'll tell you one other, this just massive cheat code. If you have a hot girl with you, and you go up and talk to some girl, you can say whatever the fuck you want. They're never going to reject you. It's one of the biggest cheat codes there is. So I recommend guys, would try what Locario says, where he's like, you go up and you're just like total and complete honesty. But here's the thing. It's not just honesty. It's complete outcome independence. Right. And then I also recommend try going out with a super hot girl and then just watch the way women react to you. You get to skip several levels when you do that.
So one of the pushbacks I get from that kind of concept is guys often say this in response, but I can't even go to a nightclub with a woman. So I guess it's worth discussing, how do we get guys to understand how to obtain that kind of situation where they're able to go to these places with a woman in their arms, one or two at least.
I know, Mike. We got go in because
so for me, the main thing that I do is like you reframe it in your mind. Like for instance, if you can reframe going to the gym and in your mind you can see like the physique you want, you can visualize it. It can motivate you intrinsically in the gym. And if you can see, like every time I get, sometimes I'll go and I'll do Loom videos for leads on sales calls, or I'll jump on with my sales team. When I can transmute that in my mind to, okay, that means my business is growing, then I'm more motivated to do it. If you can go up to women, like for me, like let's just say you meet a woman, she's completely your type, you think she's beautiful, but she's with her boyfriend, or she's married, or she's dating one of your homeboys. In those type of situations, or for me, you guys know I have this like horrible fucking problem. Every girl I date has huge fake boobs. Girls who don't have huge fake boobs, I don't even like find them attractive. So I put those girls, it's very important you guys hear what I'm saying. I put those girls in the friend zone. I do not let them put me in the friend zone. If you were to sit here and listen to, like when I have a bunch of girls over my place, you know what we talk about? Football, rescuing fucking animals. We play video games. We do shit that I would normally do as a man. So what you do is you find some girls that you know, hey, listen, it's not going to work out with this girl. She's dating my homeboy or whatever. And then you put them in the friend zone. You'll be shocked if you're a cool guy, how often women will help you meet other women and actually want to help you meet other women. So that's what I would do. I would find some girls, say, I'll charge it to the game. These girls I'm not trying to hook up with this girl for whatever reason. If they're attractive, it actually helps you a lot. And then like one of my closest friends is Kindly Myers. She's married. She's been married for 10 years, or she's been with the same guy for 10 years. Whenever we go out, back when I was single, I'd be like, hey, Kindly, man, I think that girl's kind of hot. Kindly knew exactly what to do. And so she was a wingman. And so that's what I would recommend you guys do. You go up there initially when you talk to the girl, knowing full well you're going to put her in the friend zone, and then you don't even try to do anything. Now, I'll tell you the crazy part about it is very often, this group of women that you put in the friend zone, then they start seeing the attention that you're getting from each woman. They start competing with each other for your attention. And often those are the women you end up sleeping with.
Yeah, that's a real talk. And what's funny is that, like if you're the type of person that definitely goes out and, into the nightlife and all that other stuff, right? There's a few different ways you could do this too. So what I would used to do, because I used to be going to the clubs basically like every weekend, damn near, right? And I'm from New York, so there's spots where they are basically clubs, but it's also just a place you can go and get a drink or whatever. So what will happen is that sometimes I would just go to these spots. Let's say I'll go with me and one of my guy friends, and then we would just go out there, meet women, and do all that other stuff, right? And so what we would do is that some of the women we would meet, right, we would just exchange information, right? And then we would tell those women, hey, listen, you know, next time you're going out or you hear something, hit me up, or we would hit them up. And then so when we was going out to another spot, we would just hit the girls up and say, hey, we're going to be here, right? Or what I would do too is that I would meet a woman, I would go on a date with her, but I would take her to the spot to get a drink. But the place that I go to get a drink is not necessarily just a bar. It's a place that's going to, they turn into clubs after a certain time, right? So
yeah.
There's a spot called Magic Hour in Manhattan that I used to go to, where I would take the girl there, get a drink, right? And then within like the next half an hour, people are coming in doing whatever. So I'm essentially there already with this woman. You see what I'm saying? And the funny part, and this is the hilarious part, I would think too. So I was with this one girl one time, and she, you know, she was like probably, I would say her and I think maybe two other girls were like the hottest girls in there. So I was in there, and so what happened is that I got free drinks from other guys trying to talk to her. That's, you see what I'm saying? Then on top of that, when we were just in the situation, we were talking to other people around. So like you were saying, Michael, is that there's other women who are going to be more they're always going to be more their shield is going to be down a lot of times when they see you with another woman, period. You see what I'm saying? Like that just makes it easier, because then they're like, oh, this guy right here is with a hot woman, so that must mean like there got to be something interesting about him if this woman's talking to him. Well, if he's talking to me, then I feel cool talking to him because this woman is here talking to him. You see what I'm saying? So just that thing where, you know, it works out that way sometimes. So if you're that type of guy who's in the nightlife and who wants to create that dynamic, you can do that by meeting women at these places and then have them hit you up, or you hit them up, or you take a woman to that place specifically. You see what I'm saying? And then you interact with her, but you're also interacting with the people in the spot too. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
makes me,
The thing.
Go ahead.
Yeah. The thing with women, it's so just imagine as men, just think about your ancestors. They would look and see a fat ass and be like, that girl was hot. Our ability to tell a woman is hot takes less than 1/10 of a second. Think about that, guys. Like, well, seriously consider if you have 20/20 vision, you can look at a woman 50 yards away and you can kind of tell if she's hot. Like, it's pretty crazy when you think about like all the things that it takes us a while to determine, but like for some reason, Homo sapien males can just tell if a girl's hot in like 1 second. What does that mean? That means it's an adaptation that your ancestors used for survival. So for us, we can just look and see small waist, hip to waist ratio, symmetrical face, signs of youth, etc. And we'll be like, she's hot very quickly. For women, they're looking at us and we have perfect information. Well, almost perfect. We can't tell. I mean, the girl might have borderline personality disorder, but whatever. But as far as us wanting to have sex with her, we can tell all the information we need. We see immediately. Mm-hmm. For a woman, she looks at a man and she's just loaded with incomplete information. Does he suck in bed? Does he have a micro penis? Is he fucking hyper obsessive over girls that he dates? Is this guy get super jealous? Does he have bad breath? Is he abusive? Is he a fucking, whatever? Is he a huge player? Whatever the thing is. Is this guy a big liar? She doesn't know. And the way you as a man can answer those questions for her quickly, pickup artists used to do this thing called DHVs. I don't recommend that, but I recommend, do you know what the best DHV is? Having a girl who's super hot next to you and she's telling the story about how cool you are. That's 100 times better. So when a woman is with you and when a number of women are around you, the guy's like, well, he's not obsessive. He's probably not abusive. These girls are like competing for his attention. He looks like he's had sex with a lot of pretty girls. So he's probably good in bed. And these questions from her standpoint are answered. That's incomplete information is answered because she sees a hot girl with you. And that's why it makes it just so much easier when you do that. To the point where like it becomes a crutch. Like, I got to be honest with you. Like, I make myself go out and do like cold approach without girls pretty frequently, because I know whenever I have girls with me, no one ever says no to me, ever.
That's actually
like, it's just so good. Yeah.
I'm laughing.
No girl's gonna be like, I don't have fucking time for you when you're like with a hot girl. No girl's ever gonna do that.
Now I'm laughing because I'm thinking about those times when I'll be at these spots, and it's so funny how it is, because it's like, because they see them there, now they want to be a part of it's almost like, the more, like, I would walk down the street by myself, right? And I would see every once in a while a girl check me out. Whenever I'm with my girl, more women are, it's like it's doubled and tripled. You see what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
like it's always, it's just hilarious how that works. And but the reason why it works that way is because it's the way that women's minds work when it comes to men and attraction and stuff like that. Now, again, you're going to be attractive by yourself as a man, because if you have game and you're attractive and you have confidence, it's definitely going to help you regardless. But what happens is that it's like you're a sneaker and the woman is like Michael Jordan promoting the sneaker. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
And it's like, oh
Yeah.
shit, the sneaker's cool, but now I really want it because Michael Jordan said it's cool. You see what I'm saying? It's like women are
Yeah.
followers. So if
co-signing.
right, so if that woman is saying you're cool, then it's easier for them to believe it. They don't have to really think. You know what I'm saying? It's just the way it happens. It's crazy.
Yeah, I also think in terms of the difference between the two realities. There's the reality of you going to the nightclub with your degenerate friends as usual, and you're just like doing your degenerate stuff, standing around, drinking alcohol, doing stupid shit. And then there are the times where you go to a nightclub with 1, 2, or 3 or more women who are female friends of yours, or even you have a girlfriend with you. I remember one example, even on the east coast of Canada, in the middle of fucking nowhere, like still a trashy club, but it's like the biggest club pretty much. We had the hottest girl with us, 3 girls and me, and all the guys in VIP were just fucking vultures. It was fucking chaos. And within 20 minutes, all of us got access to the VIP booths just because all this demand skyrocketed. So the reality being on both sides is that on one side, when you're alone or you're with your guy friends, you just have nothing to offer. You don't stand out necessarily, unless you're doing something different. But when you are a man with a woman or more than one, then you stand out just by that alone, just in the most basic terms. You
Yeah.
stand out from the rest of the crowd. And a lot of other possibilities open up. Like even
One other thing,
yeah, go ahead.
one other thing, I was talking to Dan Bilzerian about this the other day. He talked about having, there's always one girl who like set the party off. She would get up on stage, she would get up on the table, start dancing. He was like, if you had just one hot girl that was there like with your group and she started getting hypersexual, all the girls would do it too. It's really funny the way they follow. Whenever you do stuff like that. I don't know if I can screen share, I can show you some videos, but it's like you'll see one girl jump in the video and then all the other girls. Locario, have you seen the Parallel Live? Have you guys seen that app, Parallel Live, what it does?
Oh, you talking about is that the app that makes it looks like a bunch of people are watching you or some shit like
Yeah.
that?
Have you
Yeah, I've
seen
heard
the
about
way
it.
the women start grinding on the guy's dick and just like fucking like flirting with him right in front of her fucking boyfriend because it looks like there's 40,000 people watching him? Have you guys seen these videos?
Oh yeah, I've seen those because women love attention, so they gonna definitely do that. You know what I'm saying?
Bro, like the old game was try to give girl like the whole fucking Bill Cosby shit where you try to drug a girl to have sex. That's old game. New game now, you know what it is? You just show a girl that you can get her a bunch of fucking attention and they will do anything, bro. It is the wildest shit that I've ever seen. The way that women like want attention. But like again, like for instance, this is my birthday party. Like just look, they all jump in. There's like no hesitation. They all stop what they're doing and they're like, "Oh, what is he doing?" And they'll just sit there and they'll look up and they'll start dancing or whatever. Why? They weren't dancing before. They just saw a light and then that's the reason that made them do it. It's the same thing like the first day I met my girlfriend, I have a video of it. Like the moment that I met her, I just started recording. And once the light came on my camera, it was just like like you said before, like women are followers. They just absolutely are followers. If you provide some kind of stimulus for them, they'll literally do anything to just get people's attention. It's one of the wildest things I've ever seen. Like all we had to do was point the light in my direction and all the girls climb into the photo. You guys see this?
Right.
That's it. I didn't have to do anything, bro. Like they just all just jump in there to get in the photo. And it's just one of the things that I found. We did an experiment one time, two experiments. One, we had a party and we had 2 step and repeats at the party. You guys know what step and repeats are. They're the things with the logos on the back and there's a red carpet in front of it. We had 2 step and repeats. Guys, there were no photographers on these step and repeats. There were no cameras on these step and repeats. We just put lights on them. The girls spent the entire night at these parties on the step and repeats, taking pictures of themselves. There was no one taking pictures of them. It was crazy because there was just light on the step and repeats. The girls spent the entire time there. Second thing we did one time as an experiment, we got a corner table, like it was a comp table at Light Nightclub in Mandalay Bay. And we had guys bring red, you know, those big red cameras are like $30,000 cameras. We had 2 of those cameras. And then we had these big fucking lights that we shined on the table. We never hit record. We never hit record the whole night. And girls were flocking to come over to our table because there was so much light on our table. Does that make sense? So understanding this concept that as men seek validation through sex, women seek validation through attention. And you can use attention like, but when I go to dinner and there's a bunch of girls there and they're on their phone, I'm like, let's make a TikTok video right now. I use it. I'm like, I'll just turn my camera on and they all stop what they're doing because any thought that they might get more attention, just consider all the panel shows that exist right now where girls kind of get trashed on the panel shows. More girls want to go on the shows. Isn't it crazy? If you guys knew how many people are trying to get on whatever podcast, Pearl, Fresh and Fit, my show, fucking
and you know, the
Purple
ones
Pill,
that
whatever.
even got roasted before and they still go back
They
on
still
there. Even
come
they
back,
got
bro.
fucking torn apart like shit.
If you had a show with 4 million subs on YouTube and all you did was trash women the entire time, you would have a line of women, thousands of women trying to get on your show, even though all you do is trash women. If you listen to, like, again, I used this example before. What does Future say? She belonged to the streets, you know, sensational. He's saying this stuff about women just kind of like not being, you know, being sluts. And yet he's probably one of the most attractive rappers that there are out there. So it doesn't make any difference, the fact that he's saying whatever he's saying. It just, all that matters is that he has status.
Yeah, the thing is, you know, women love to get attention, so they're going to basically give. So this is the thing: women are going to give you attention because they want attention. The thing though is that you have to be a guy who knows how to use attention to benefit you in the situation, so that the woman isn't using you. So the problem is, so let's say, for example, a guy, he's interested in a woman, or he's interested in making things happen with certain women. And then the women will use him for attention. So he's like, yes, I got him here. But then he's like, I want to sleep with this girl. I want to, you know, hook up. I want to date this girl, or I want to date these girls. And then he's still not getting that because he doesn't know how to turn the attention into something substantial for his own situation and to benefit him in the situation. So he might say, I want to hook up with some girls. So he's getting attention, but he's still not hooking up with them. You see what I'm saying? So he's still, a lot of times you still got to know how to do that and pull that. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. So let's consider these 2 things. As men, we get our validation through compliance, which leads to sex. And in general, women in general get their validation from attention, which leads to resources. Man spending his money or time with her down the line. So attention, which then leads to resources. In order for a woman to get attention, what can she do? She can give attention, like Locario was saying, but what does it cost a woman to give attention? Nothing. And if you don't know what I mean by that, go to any strip club, watch the girls come up to you. They'll be like, oh my God, you're so cute, blah, 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 whatever. They're just saying whatever they're saying. It costs them nothing to give attention. So because it costs them nothing to give attention, their attention is worthless. For men, it costs us nothing to give sex. So we want sex from women. We'll give women sex. Sex is fun for us. It doesn't cost us anything to give sex. So here's the thing. If a woman gives away a bunch of sex for nothing, society in general seems to lower her value. And as a man gives away his attention for nothing, then his value is also lowered. So the trick is, you only give your attention, you only give your validation to a woman in exchange for compliance. You don't give your validation to a woman in exchange for attention, because her attention is worthless. Think of attention is above the belly button, compliance is below the belly button. So she sends you nudes, right? When she sends you nudes, is that attention or compliance? Well, it's above the belly button, and she sent those same nudes to 30 other dudes. So that's just attention. When she comes to your place and cooks you dinner, that's below the belly button. She had to walk to your place, That's compliance. So you give women validation for compliance. You do not give them validation for attention, and you'll be shocked how much more attractive women will find you. Because, like, was it Sadia Khan? She said, "What the main thing a woman wants is a man she can't manipulate." When you are giving her validation in exchange for attention, she is manipulating you. When you give her validation in exchange for compliance, you're not. No one's manipulating. It's a win-win situation.
Right. I agree.
So where does oral sex come into this? If she's
well, she still had to come to your place. She no. Again, I know I get this joke all the time. The answer is she had to come to your place to give you oral sex, right?
Fair
so
enough.
She used her legs. She used her lower body. Yeah. So she used. Anyway, what I like to say is, if a woman moves her ass somewhere to be near you, then that's compliance.
Right.
Let's go to even if it's like, let's go to the bathroom together, or hey, let's get out of here and go eat. That's still compliance. But a girl saying, "Oh my God, you're so cute. How come you don't have a fucking girlfriend? What's going?" She's like touching your arm. Dudes, pickup artists are like, "Oh, those are IOIs, indicators of interest." No, they're not. No, they're not. They're not indicators. Indicators of interest is when she comes over. That's an indicator of interest. When a girl is touching my arm, that's just attention. That's just attention. She's giving me attention. It costs her nothing to give attention. But what does she want in exchange? Her heroin addiction. And she's addicted to a heroin, but this heroin's called attention. She needs attention. And so that's the thing. She'll do anything to get it. And when you come to that realization, the other thing is, like, when you have a bunch of female friends that you go out with, like platonic female friends you go out with, and they're all competing with each other, they'll start competing with each other for your attention. And then all of a sudden it's not platonic anymore. So it's not platonic, because they're like, in their mind, they know there's a structure in their mind that knows whichever man whose attention I'm competing for, that is the man I'm more attracted to, because he has higher status. And women care way more about status than men care about a woman's status.
Right. So,
and what was I gonna say? All right. So bad guys can stop the drugging now and just use something like parallel life. Like, surely this is a good thing for society. It could be like less drink spiking and date rape drugs. And now guys can just facilitate attention in some kind of way.
All of that happens because men are bad with, well, not all of it. Some men are psychopaths. Don't get me wrong. Some men have mental disorders. But men going outside the bounds, meaning like assault or rape, those things happen because they're bad with women. It's because they're bad with women. That's why I say, like, guys who are helping men improve, you're doing the entire world a service, because you'd rather not be hit up with a charge, and she'd rather not be assaulted, right? The world is better the more attractive men are in general. The world is just better. And the more men strive to do better in order to be more attracted to women, then I think the world in general is better, because that striving to do better is the reason why we have skyscrapers and rocket ships, right? It's the reason why we have the electric engine and the gasoline powered motor. Those things came as inventions, men competing with other men for resources so that they could have more access to women. The world is a better place because of that. So men striving to do better, I think it is better for both genders.
I think even with pickup artists get a lot of criticism, but I think at least it has some kind of effort to do something about the pandemic of loneliness, or what I'm kind of getting at is it's at least doing something that reduces potentially male suicide and facilitates relationships. So that's a good thing for me, at least. But another thing related to this is back to the IOIs thing. I remember seeing some advice out there before where it says something along the lines of, get free IOIs and then you can make the move, that kind of thing. So I think it's very fascinating about this differentiation between indicators of interest and the ultimate indicator of interest itself, which is the fact that she's coming over to your place, to your personal space, to your bedroom, and so on.
Well, the thing is, you gotta remember is that, like, because the whole thing of they call it also like choosing signals, indicators of interest, same stuff. The thing is, the only way you can really see if a woman is really interested in you is that she has to respond based on your prompt, based on your leadership, based on what you're saying. So, for example, I could see a girl at a bar or at a club or anywhere I'm at, and she could be checking me out, and she could even come over and say hi, before I even say anything to her. But what happens is that I'm not going to know if she's into me how I want her to be into me until I say something. So let's say I'm like, I want to have sex with this girl, but she's thinking, I want to get Locario to pay my rent. You know what I'm saying? So that's why she's coming over and giving me the googly eyes. So until I say to her, listen, hey, come over my place so we can hook up or whatever, or create that type of conversation, then and only then am I going to see if she's actually interested. So at first she's coming over. So so what's going to happen is, if I'm not aware, I'm going to think she's coming over and saying hi because she's interested in sex, whereas she's interested in, let's say, my money. So until I let her know, hey, this is what I want to do, then she's going to reveal what she's really interested in. So now I'm trying to have sex with her, and I notice she's being resistant to that, and she's just trying to get me to buy her stuff. You see what I'm saying? So now I know exactly where she stands now based on what I did. So a lot of times you can't take what the woman is doing on her own too seriously, because she could have her own agenda of what she's trying to do with you. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. I have seen women grab men's dicks. I have seen women say, I can't wait to fuck you. I have seen women say everything under the sun in a club, in some social situation, like rubbing his knee while they're in there, telling him how fucking hot he is. And I've seen those same women not fuck those men. But you know what I don't see? The woman who follows the man around, the woman who's like, hey, let's go over here, complies, arm in arm. Let's go back over to my place later. The woman just like, yes, of course, comes back. I've seen women be completely silent the entire night, seem totally uninterested. But when the dude's like, hey, dude, let's go to this other thing, and she jumps in his car. I've seen those guys have sex with those women because he got compliance. The first guy got attention. And she's giving the attention in exchange for more attention back because she wants validation through attention. The second guy got compliance. Guys, when you get compliance, there's nothing there's no single corollary that leads to sexual intercourse with a beautiful woman more than getting compliance. Steps of compliance. If you guys have ever worked in high ticket sales, you know there's a series of yeses that eventually leads to the credit card. It's the same situation with women. It's a series of yeses. It's like, you go out, it's like, hey, meet at my place before we go out. She comes over to your place. Okay, cool. That's pretty good compliance. All right, let's go to dinner, blah, blah, blah. And then you like order stuff on the menu. She's like, oh my God, thank you for doing this, blah, blah. She's having a great time. She talks to you about herself. You ask her questions. She answers every single one of your questions. You're like, hey, let's go back to my place and then we can go somewhere else and grab a drink. She comes back to your place. Hey, jump on the couch with me. She jumps on the couch, take your shoes off. She takes your shoes off. These are steps of compliance that will inevitably, at a very high percentage rate, lead to a woman wanting to have sex with you. But here's the thing. It's not only an indicator she wants to have sex with you. There's what's called the Florence Nightingale effect, which is as she becomes more invested, she actually becomes more attracted to you.
Right.
She becomes more attracted to you. Another way a woman will show compliance is if you're with a lot of women and she's fighting for your attention, she's giving you compliance by fighting for your attention because she sees all these other women around. And in doing so, she actually convinces herself she's more attracted to you.
Interesting.
Yeah. Just to tie this topic up a little bit more, I'll just throw in one or two examples more. Also reminds me of like when I went to a club years ago and my girlfriend was with me. There was a woman who came up to us and she knew me from university. I didn't even know who the fuck she was, but apparently she was in my class. I just didn't notice. And then regardless of me having my girlfriend there or not, maybe she would have come up to me anyway. I don't know. But the fact that I had a woman there anyway helps, because at least it doesn't show that I'm a weirdo by myself all alone. But either way, a week later, I went on a date with her. I got all kinds of examples, but in the end, I just really love a book I love to recommend on this is The Setup by Dan Bilzerian. Because instead of going to a club with your male friends, how about you just completely reframe or reconsider what you're doing and try to get a female friend, you know, at least, or even if you're doing lots of cold approach, surely that should count towards something. And instead of using cold approach to get a bunch of phone numbers and then getting one-on-one dates at a coffee shop or something, try to get some to come with you to a nightclub at least. And then use that as your date, because that can go extremely well for you. And I fucking hate coffee anyway. So personally, it's a
Yeah, I
great
don't
one
even
for
like
me.
dates. When
I
for
love
me,
coffee.
I mean, well, for me, I don't even really do dates. What I'll do is if I met someone, it's going to be some massive social engagement, and she's going to come. She's going to see other people react to me, and then we're going to leave together. That's way more common for me. Now, if during that interaction she shows a tremendous amount of interest, I don't have to prompt her. Her messages are longer than mine. Then I would consider taking someone like that on a date. But the date's always going to be something I want to do, something that I would probably do anyway, even if I wasn't with her.
Right.
My favorite restaurant, go throwing axes, fucking go-karts, Area 15, like something I would do anyway. On stage to go see Dead Mouse at Zook, something I would already be doing if I wasn't with her.
Mm.
Yeah, exactly. That's something I really picked up on. And while we're on the topic of dates, kind of worth mentioning, this kind of philosophy I have had with dates for a number of years is I have this distinction between static dates and fluid dates. So what this means is, might seem relatively obvious, but a restaurant would be a static date. You sit down at a table, normally opposite each other. You can only use your mouth for one thing at a time. You can eat, but you can't talk while you're eating, or you're just going to be spitting on each other. And you have to wait for the waitress and all this static stuff. So that's a static date. And a fluid date is something where there's a lot more movement. Like you're going on stage with Dead Mouse, for example. That's a lot of fucking movement. The ultimate example I can think of, I guess, is ice skating. Because you can fall over and you can fucking laugh about it. You can suck at it and it's okay. And these
Yeah,
things involve movement, and the conversation just becomes secondary, which just takes the pressure off the conversation and the date in general.
I
Do you
love it.
Yeah.
guys have any kind of similar ideas around dates?
Yeah. So usually what I do is so it depends on who the date is with. So if it's like my girlfriend, you know what I'm saying, someone I'm in a relationship with, that's a different story. We could do a bunch of different things, but but with a woman I'm just meeting for like the first time, like I met her off an app, or I met her in the street and we going out or whatever. I kind of just keep it to drinks. You know what I'm saying? Like I keep it simple, because usually
Mm.
with women that I first meet, I'm just feeling them out to see if this is somebody I'm gonna keep as a fuck buddy, or somebody I'm gonna continue to want to see or whatever. So I'm just feeling her out. So this is like her audition. You know what I'm saying? So I keep it real simple, because I'm basically auditioning her to see if this is somebody I'm gonna see again, or if this is someone that I'm just gonna probably smash just one time and call it a day, or if I'm not gonna, so it's like really just the audition. So I'm probably gonna do more of a date where we either getting drinks or coffee, or we're just at one spot and I'm just filling her out for a little while. And then if it's a woman who's my girlfriend or something, then I would do something more extravagant, because now I feel like she's earned that type of time and attention with me. You know what I'm saying? So I don't really do anything too extravagant with like new women. That's just how I do it. You know what I'm saying?
Alrighty. What do you guys recommend exchanging? Phone numbers or Instagram usernames?
Mm. I usually do the phone number. So tell them to take my number, or I might just take theirs in some situations. But I usually do the number because um it depends on what you're trying to do. So I do the number because I want to be out of the online realm when we're interacting. You feel what I'm saying? So that's just how I do. But if you're the type of person who's on Instagram and that's like your thing, then it probably will make more sense to do that, because then what happens is depending on what you're trying to do in the specific situation, right? You might want to give her the Instagram because you're trying to play off the Instagram. Do you see what I'm saying? I don't really necessarily play off the Instagram. I just go straight to the number and just like set something up like that. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I always future project whenever I'm talking to a girl, even if like I'm going to go home with her that night. I'm going to future project like, hey, we're hosting an animal rescue charity in Los Angeles on this date, or there's a bikini competition for 100 grand, or you should come out. We do a huge trip of all of us go to Jamaica, and in doing so, what'll happen is I'll actually use Instagram as like irrefutable visual evidence of the things that I'm talking about. Like, oh, here's all the girls and babes in Toyland, whatever. So we'll usually connect there. And the other thing is, and I was talking to Mystery about this the other day. It's like the concept of a time bridge. So let's just say for whatever reason, she's got to drive her friends home. You know, you're going to have to see her, not the first day you meet her, but maybe on the second day. The time bridge, what I like is a time bridge of her being able to check out my social media, and then my social media be curated to not generate, but to at least maintain attraction from the time I meet her to the time that we end up meeting up. So for me, I'm definitely going to do, I'm going to do Instagram first, and then afterward text messaging.
Alrighty, here's another social circle one I'm gonna throw in. What kind of value can the average guy offer if he wants to access the DJ booth?
Yeah, so the easiest ways to do this, we call it value arbitrage because they're free. Like arbitrage means it's like a risk-free exchange. The connector, the suggester, and the content creator. Those are kind of the best ways to do it. So the content creator is the guy who like takes really good photos or is constantly tagging the GM or the nightclub. When you walk up to a club, like for instance, I do this all the time. I'll tag the GM of a nightclub whenever I'm at the nightclub and I'm there with a bunch of girls, and he'll see it, and I never have to wait to get in line whenever I go back to that place. So that's the content creator. The suggester is another one where like whenever or the connector or the suggester, whenever I go to one of these events and like I want to get near the DJ booth, I'm constantly going to be introducing the head of security to as many hot girls as possible, and the GM to as many hot girls as possible. Even if I don't barely know the hot girls, like every time he sees me, I'm introducing him to hot girls. And then the suggester is like things outside of there. It's like, oh man, you know what? That would probably work. Like do this often when I meet photographers. I'm like, oh, have you ever tried this camera or this lens or whatever? Or you know what's really good is right after we go out of here, across the street is Pepper Mill, man. They got the best pancakes, like middle of the night, blah, 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 whatever. Those things are free. That's value anyone can add. But the connector, suggester, and content creator. Being the guy who takes the really good photos, like I said, there's a big group of you and you take really good photos, all the girls are going to want your IG. It's like I've had guys do this before. They'll see me do interviews on the red carpet and they'll go up to the girl before. It's like, yeah, I took some BTS, kind of get your IG. And then they'll connect that way. And then they'll end up going out with the girl through that way because the guy's sending her actual content. So those are all different ways that I've seen. Those are the three easiest ways I've seen to offer value.
I can really attest to that actually, because years ago, there's a club in London called Coco in Camden, which is like the emo goth kind of alternative town kind of place. But anyway, it's a huge venue, and they had it's actually like a music venue, but they do club nights after the shows and whatever. But I managed to connect to the guys running it initially by reviewing their Facebook page or something. But after that, I was reintroduced to the guy, and the value offering I made, and now value arbitrage makes sense to me now that you mentioned it that way. I offered to bring in a camera guy, a videographer, and I don't pay for the videographer necessarily. I just had access to one through the network that I had, and they don't pay for the videographer because for us, we're just okay with going in there VIP style, having fun. So it came at no cost to anyone. And that's
Yeah.
the value triangle right there. I connected the two. I went in there and they gave us the only cost it had to them was they gave us 2 wristbands that they had anyway. And the reality is that we filmed for like a few minutes here and there, and the rest of the night we were just making use of the VIP access on stage and everything like that, and everything was just super easy, and they kept letting me in ever since.
And the more you do it, the easier it gets. The thing is, heterosexual men don't need anything from you. There's no ulterior motive. If you want normal dudes to do things with you or for you, you have to provide some kind of value. You have to solve some kind of problem from them. But like wealthy men, if you look at their friends are people who help solve problems with them, either together or they just do business together, whatever. He sells this and he sells this, whatever. That's the thing you have to understand when you deal with these groups of men, is that you need to provide some kind of value. And then when you do so, it gets progressively easier every time you get this is called access. You get more access to the different locations because you do it over and over again. It gets progressively easier every time you do it. You have to do less. Now I just walk up to every club in Vegas and they don't even ask me a question. It doesn't matter if I have girls with me. They just let me in and let me on stage because I've been doing it for so long. The other concept is mere exposure. If you just keep doing it over and over again, it just gets easier. I can't tell me how many VIP hosts come up to me like, "Hey man, like your show," but I have no idea what their names are. It's like, but it gets consistently easier the more you do it when you have that social proof. So yeah, that's definitely a great way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty. There was another thing you mentioned a while back. I can't believe I forgot about it. But you mentioned like crazy stories you have seen. This was when you were talking about the attention versus compliance. I remember you told a story a while back of the hot tub in Jamaica. Can you tell us a story similar to that one? Just so outrageously
That is the most
crazy.
like that is the craziest, most vile one because of what happened after. The dude just waves his dick in a girl's face and in front of her fiance, and then she ends up engaged to the guy 28 days later. Like that is like, I tell this to guys all the time. I'm like, bro, like you don't have to like want to fight, but if your girlfriend thinks that you're just gonna fucking run away whenever some dude bucks up to you, that's not gonna be your girl for very long. No, stories like that, man. I mean, I definitely have a few, but like they're more like game related stories. Like for instance, one time I was in I interviewed Paris Hilton and we sat in her room for 3 hours and I just got her to talk about herself the whole time. And she just got really fucking comfortable with me. And it's one of the things where I kind of came to the realization that if you can make women just talk about themselves, what ends up happening, they start to like glow like fucking embers, like heated metal. You know what I'm saying? And they become very like it's suggestible afterwards when you do that. So I recommend that very strongly. And then the other one like that I learned was the first time I remember I've interviewed her since, but the first time I snuck up and met Carmen Electra, I snuck into the VIP, but because I had hot girls with me, the security guards just gave me that little hesitation and just like let me go up there a little quicker. So stuff like that. I mean, I probably have some other crazy stories, but I can't even. I mean, it's just one story after another of girls coming on my show and basically saying, I want a boyfriend. And one girl's like, yeah, I'm looking for this kind of thing in a relationship. And then later on the show, she's like, tomorrow I'm filming with 2 guys for the first time. I'm getting fucked by 2 guys at the same time. Go watch my last episode of Access Vegas. Well, there was one girl who came on. She's like, yeah, I want a boyfriend, blah, blah, blah. There's this guy I'm seeing. I'm getting kind of serious. And then later on, after a couple drinks on the show, she's like, yeah, I just sucked this bartender's dick right before I came on the show. Like that kind of stuff, you just see it over and over again. And I mean, life is a crazy experience. When you see that, you remember that video that went viral. I'm sure all of you guys have seen it, where the girl's like, yeah, I have different guys for different tools. Like the one guy that I fuck, I would never be in a long-term relationship with that guy.
I saw that one.
So she's like, yeah. And he goes, oh, because he's got great dick. Like that's what she says. When the more guys see this, I think like the more craziness, it becomes less and less crazy. You start to understand, okay, this is what's going on. Yes, you're right. She told you she doesn't sleep with guys on the first date, but she has slept with guys on the first date before.
Right.
That's the thing you have to understand. She will break rules if she likes you enough. You just fully have to understand that, but don't hate her because of it.
Yeah, because I always say that, like I always tell guys that women don't necessarily have a stance on anything in particular. So it's kind of just like, they'll say I'm this way, but what it just means is I'm this way if this circumstance is this way. So meaning, I don't have sex on the first date if I don't like the guy like that. But if I do like him, I have sex with him. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just basically that type of thing. There's always I'll change my mind if I feel like it, or if I feel differently, or if it's a different type of situation. So this is why I tell guys, don't worry about what women are saying. You figure out what you want and then find the women who are going to do the things you want specifically. That's what it is. So if you're trying to hook up with women, just find the women who are going to hook up with you, or the women who claim they're not going to hook up, but will change their minds because you're that guy. Do you see what I'm saying? So that's all you got to do. It's nothing too crazy about that. But yo, guys, I got to head out. I got to run. But yo, man, I appreciate y'all, having me on here, man. You know what I'm saying? Appreciate you, Ice, for having me on here. Appreciate hollering at you, Michael and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Well, dude, let me know when you come to Vegas, man. I'm coming for a conference, like to help scale our business in Manhattan in April.
Oh, not yet. Let me know when you're down here. Let me know you're down here.
For sure. Let's do it. Let's go to Ashaval. You guys have an Ashaval in Tribeca, bro. That place is so good. All right, man. Awesome.
Let me know. I'll definitely let me know. And I might be in Vegas around like June, so I'll just let you know around June, July, something like that.
Sounds good, man. Yeah, Ice, I got to run too, man. This has been really good, man.
Denton's gonna be here in a few minutes, so I'm just gonna be alone for a few minutes now.
No, it's all good. Yeah, no, I got to run. But no, Ice, I actually prefer this, like when we don't have like the huge panels going on or whatever. But yeah, man, this is really good stuff.
Why?
To some guys don't talk as much. I did one with Playing with Fire, and then it was like Destiny and Homath, and like Homath. I was there just to make sure, like that I had Homath's back, because he had never done like a debate. Like, well, maybe he has. I don't know. But I was there to have his back. I ended up talking way too much. And I just like, it's always imbalance where like some people talk way more than others. And I'm usually the guilty party when that happens. Anyway, I'm going to run. Ice, just let me know next time you want to do this. You should try to do something with Alex PWF, like where you guys both live stream something and just have like a mega debate or something like that.
Good idea. I'm going to write that down.
Because you and he do very similar things when it comes to these panel shows.
Yeah, and in fact, we've been very similar for years, because I got my book, The Message Game, and he's been doing the Tinder stuff for a long time. So he has always been a competitor of mine, but we get along very nicely.
I would love it if you guys, like, we could do some like IRL panel show in Vegas sometime. So just let me know if you guys ever want to set that up.
Oh, crazy. That would be awesome. Thanks.
All right, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Catch you later. Thanks.
Take care.
Bye. Me by myself. Here again by myself, waiting for the next one. Bit of a scheduling disaster, I suppose. Let's see. I'll just wait here. How awkward. Well, this is working. The first time the dating coach panel has no panelists apart from me. Yeah, crazy. Last time was our biggest one. We had 9 coaches on here. So I do normally, the lowest we ever had was 5. We got 3 so far, but I'm still expecting 2 to join in the next few minutes. So this is probably going to be a weird episode. Who knows? Oh, there we go. That's funny. Well, hello there.
Everybody leave already? Is the meeting over?
No, it's no, here it's kind of funny. So how the fuck do I explain this? We just had 2 other guys, Michael Sartain and Mr. Locario were just here literally a minute before you joined, and both of them had to go at the same time. But Charisma King is coming on in the next few minutes, actually. So I was on my own for like 1 or 2 minutes.
All right. Well,
it's weird.
To me.
Yeah, I guess it kind of works out.
I was sleeping off a cold. I've been sick for a few days. Something's going around here in San Diego.
It's probably that Californication bullshit as usual. So
I don't know what that means, but
wokeism. I think it's the woke virus.
No. This is quite real.
So what are the symptoms?
Oh, it's just lingering right now. I got a little bit of, it's in my, it's like in the sinuses and it leaks down. So it makes me cough because it's dripping from here. So it's just a little difficult anyway, if we're going out and this is being recorded, fucking talk to the guru of Gash.
Yeah. Alrighty. We're gonna have Charisma King join in a few minutes. So luckily my document is filled with questions for every single person. So let me go to yours. Let's see what I can extract from this one. All right, here's an interesting one, I guess. People have wanted me to ask you this for a while. Finally, we're getting around to it. Has anyone plagiarized your work?
Everybody has plagiarized my work.
Oh,
Lots of people have stolen my work, word for word. People who are outside the seduction community have plagiarized some of my trance inductions to teach hypnosis. So yes, lots of people plagiarized my work many, many years ago, maybe 16, 17 years ago. I had an attorney at the time. He said, we need to sue all these people, teach them a lesson. I said, Adam, we can't sue these people. First of all, it would cost a fortune. You're not going to take it on for free. And second, all they have to do is change the server to Indonesia, or it's not going to work. And I can create faster than they can copy. Now that's no longer true. I can't create that. I still create new stuff, but no, I'm not going to sue anybody. I've only ever really sued one person. I had a reputation for being litigious, and that scared a lot of people away. But no, the answer is yes. A lot of people have ripped me off.
damn. I think people were saying something about you not being on good terms with Rollo Tomassi. So, does that make sense to you?
I just challenged him to a debate, and he backed out. And I think his book, The Rational Male, I found it unreadable. He just goes it down into such minute, tiny little details that I couldn't read it. It's not to say there aren't some valid points in it that when I skimmed it, I saw. And I also like the whole idea where he leans into evolutionary psychology and to justify his ideas. I think he's bastardizing science and claiming science behind his ideas. Look, if you're going to claim that your ideas are scientific, not saying the ideas aren't accurate, but if you're going to claim that they measure up to a level of scientific accuracy, then you have to be able to take the scrutiny and see, does it really match the scientific method? I never say that what I teach is science. I don't even say it's true with a capital T. Hello, NECA, go over there. It's not true with a capital T. It's just my map, my model. It works more often than not. It's gotten results for thousands and thousands of people. I've been around for over 30 years, but it's not true. It's subject to change. It's incomplete. It's got some error in it. And God knows I've improved it and dumped some of it and moved on from portions and pieces of it.
Interesting. So actually, here's another question that ties in both of those. People even were saying that Rollo Tomassi plagiarized you. Does that make
No,
sense?
no,
No.
that's not true.
Okay, fair enough. Alrighty. There was another interesting one here. What do you think about speed seduction after over 20, 30 years? Do the rules still apply? Is anything outdated or updated? Kind of like what you were saying.
All right, it's a multiple part question. Speed seduction works. The basic rules that we don't look at behavior. We don't look, how do I get a phone number? How do I get a blowjob? How do I get this, that, and the other thing? We look at states of emotion, states of mind. The idea that you aim for states of fascination, states of her feeling connected, states of her getting sexually aroused, states of wanting to go for it right now. That's not change. It's never going to change. The language patterns have gotten a lot simpler, so you don't have to go through a long spiel. They've gotten shorter and sweeter, but the basic ideas are the same. The ideas and principles don't change. The variations on them do change. But some of the, I did a pattern in 1994 called Discovery Channel. Guys are still getting laid doing that, using that pattern. It compares the ride of a roller coaster. It gives commands to feel the body sensations, and it throws in a few sexual metaphors. That still works. And I came up with that in 1994.
Damn, crazy.
Mm-hmm.
This might be a bit of an NLP one, so I'm not sure if I personally
That's right.
understand it. But where did it go? If game could be learned in a sequential pattern, what would it be?
First and foremost, get yourself in the right state of mind. That's a state where you're separated from needing the outcome to happen. You're grounded in your body, but you're expanded in your awareness. So let's unpack that. Grounded in your body, meaning you can actually feel your body, feel yourself breathing, feel your feet on the ground. You're expanded in your awareness, meaning that you're aware of the people around you, you're aware of your possible opportunities. I have a affirmation. My opportunities are everywhere. I create them and they surround me. So that's the first part. You need to be in the right frame of mind. Second part is you've got to warm yourself up before you. I don't even like the word approach. I teach, I never approach. I only extend the gift of my masculine presence and joyfully offer opportunities to connect with me in fun and powerful ways. So you have to have that frame of mind. Once you do that, my sequence would be get focused, get her focused on you. I view seduction as a subset of a much bigger frame, which is influence and persuasion. And the currency of influence and persuasion, and therefore seduction, is focus. How do you get her focus on you in a playful way that is different than every other guy, but is not so different it's creepy? So that would be the second part. Number 3, I would begin to draw her out and make her laugh, not be a party clown, but make her laugh, because laughter is a lubricant and a glue. It lubricates away all of the tension, all of her anxiety. And I think one of the things about approach anxiety that guys miss is the woman's anxiety when she's approached. Lubricates that away. And it's also a glue, because when we laugh, we come together in a very special way and we strengthen the bonds. If you watch people who are friends laughing together and you really listen in, the jokes aren't funny. The comments aren't really funny. They're not. It's just a way of bonding together. Next thing I do is go into a phase where I do my very best to gather enough to, here's what I would do. One of the things I do anymore is to ask the question. A lot of guys ask you what you like to do for fun, but I don't care. I want to know when you want to do something that makes you feel totally alive and gets your heart beating hard, really hard, and time flies by. What do you love to do? Or what's something you've always fantasized about doing, but never let yourself dare to do? That's a different kind of question. Do you hear how it's a different question? It gets a response from a different part of the mind. But what I don't believe is in the whole mystery thing. First you build comfort, then attraction, then, because you can create those things simultaneously. You can create attraction and comfort at the same time if you know how to frame it. And you can have her reaching for more. That's the basics. And then you get her aroused, and then you get her into a state where it's on. Now, this takes practice. The difference between speed seduction and every other system is it's like learning a new language. It's very powerful, but lazy ass people won't be able to get it, and stupid people won't be able to really get it. You can be average intelligence and get it, but unless you're smart enough to grasp the principles and disciplined enough to do the work to master the skills, you're not going to you're not going to get as far as you nearly could go if you're willing to put all that in.
I'm actually interviewing Mystery pretty soon. What teachings
He's
for
having a
Mystery?
resurgence. He's
Huh?
having a resurgence, and I'm being interviewed by someone who's doing a documentary on him.
Oh, for real? What's going on with that?
I forget the name of that. I could turn my phone on and look it up. They're going to talk to me for a couple hours on Monday, and I'll be wearing a T-shirt plugging my new AI.
Hey, there we go.
I
Perfect.
got a T-shirt that says Speed Seduction.ai. So you know what? If they ask me to take it off, I'll say nope. And they're not, I don't think they're going to go through the problem of the trouble of blurring the whole thing for 2 hours, but maybe they will. I don't give a fuck. I was part of a documentary on Vice. Vice came down to San Diego and interviewed me on Friday for 3 hours. And I kept plugging the AI, but they'll do their best to edit it out. I don't think they're going to be able to because I sprinkled it in every 3 minutes.
The master of
Yeah, I've been
inserting.
self-promoting since. Remember that Faith Daniels thing, the MRA,
Yeah.
men's feminist? I was promoting my book back then. I
remember that's chapter 19 of my book. I remember you saying that. So when
right.
something was happening.
That thing went super viral. Someone posted it and everyone picked it up. My nephew, one of my nephews, wound up sending me the link.
In fact, it's still super viral even today. Even just a few weeks ago, I posted one of those clips from that 1992 NBC show, Faith Daniels show, and it got over 1 million views on Instagram. Before that, the most amount of views I got on Instagram was 12,000 or something, but this got 1 fucking million.
I'm a fucking star, dude.
1 million within a week.
You know what?
By the way,
that's impressive. I told the interviewer for Vice, I said, I know how to work you, man. I'm going to work the cameras, and I'll look right in the camera. And when I was on Dr. Phil said, look at what's in your book. Look at some of this. This is disgusting. I said, okay, what you're doing is you're taking this out of context. All I'm doing is being sensationalistic and exaggerating, just like you do with your show when you do teasers to get the audience to tune in, even though the show itself isn't necessarily like what you advertise. He said, that's not true. This show is not edited. What you see is what you get. And I looked right into the camera. I said, camera 3, get a close up on me. I look right in the camera, which you're not supposed to do. I pointed, I said, this is a message for everyone at home watching this. If you think that this show isn't heavily edited and even in some ways scripted, I've got swampland for you in Florida. And guess what? They edited that out.
Classic. I've been thinking about that kind of principle because when I was on Just Pearly Things a few months back, like the whole thing was kind of dominated by this woman sitting next to my wife who does OnlyFans. She's young. She's like an orange-skinned, fake tan English girl with blonde hair. And she was just like getting all the attention all the time, which is how it happens. I'm not complaining. But I was like, I need to turn this opportunity into a greater opportunity by making it fucking spicy, for lack of a better term. And there are a few ways where I kind of made that happen in the second half of the live stream. One of those ways was she was talking about how she struggles to find a boyfriend because she does OnlyFans. She said something like,
past relationships, it's made me like feel like I'm maybe won't find a husband.
Why?
You definitely won't now. Do you think that? So,
won't now.
Well, that's true.
But I was like, you definitely won't now. And then
I would
everyone
have said
fucking
something
laughed.
like, I would say more sperm has been spilled over your videos than tears at Martin Luther King's funeral. So shut up.
Holy shit. Another spicy one, and this one was a bit more reasonable.
You can steal that, by the way.
I definitely will write that down. Another spicy moment I had, and this one was more reasonable, was when I was just like looking into the camera and kind of highlighting that other dating coaches don't go on shows with their girlfriend or a date or anything like that. They go on alone, and fair enough. But the spicier part I did was where I said, the fact that my wife has brain cancer, I brought her on the show.
I'm so sorry.
And other guys have
pause. I'm interrupting, but I'm interrupting in a humane and human way. I'm really sorry that she's suffering. It must be terrifying for you. I'm really sorry. Please continue.
Yeah, I was kind of highlighting the fact that what she's going through is terrible, of course. And something like that, when it happens to you, you just have to realize that you have no fucking excuses. That you can't talk to a woman because you're short. You can't talk to a woman because your nose is big, because you're a Jew. You can't talk to women because of this, that, or some fucking made up bullshit that's in your fucking head. It's like how I'm talking right now. This is how I get spicy, for lack of a better fucking term. It's being much more direct, but even back in 1992, you knew very fucking well how to do that. So when was the first time you kind of realized you?
Well, this is a great question. This is a great question. I actually cut my teeth, so to speak, and got experience provoking audiences on a local show in Orange County, California, called the Wally George Show. Wally George was this conservative right-wing talk show host in a dinky, rinky little dink, cheesy studio. And he was big for a while in the early, look up Wally George, you'll see, you'll see him. I went on as a Satan worshiper. I went on as a conservative for Satan because I knew that one would really freak him out. I said, yes, I'm a conservative for Satan. I believe in conservative values like violence, revenge, all the things that our sweet Lord Satan. And we were debating about prayer in the classroom. That was a big issue back then. I said, I believe in prayer in the classroom. Prior to this, we had to sneak in the back door through sex, drugs, rock and roll. Now, thanks to you and people like you, we'll march them right in the schoolhouse gate. And soon little children will be singing the praises of our sweet Satan in the classroom. And the audience just went ballistic. So I learned to do it back then, just for fun, just for shits and giggles. Then when the book came out, I jumped on the show and claimed I was the world's greatest stud and just infuriated him, got thrown off the show.
The feminists have threatened to kill me because of what I'm revealing in my book. That's why I wear this mask.
Hey, he has this stupid book out, How to Get the Women You Desire into Bed. You know what I bet? If he took the mask out, he couldn't even get a girl into the same room with him.
Well, you know that's nonsense, Wally, because you've taken many an occasion.
Oh. Don't get filthy, you stupid pervert. Now, you think you are some expert on women to write this book? Is that what you think?
That's correct. Oh. Well, you know, I've slept with over 5,000 women, Wally. In fact, I see a few of them here in the audience tonight. There are a few of them out here tonight.
Well, obviously, the techniques is not modesty.
Believe me. Hey, that's all he did. That's all he did was sleep, believe me.
The kid Jared Hall is saying that I sleep?
You claim if men read this idiotic book of yours that they can conquer any woman they choose. Oh, come on.
Well, 9 out of 10, 1 out of 10 is going to slip through their fingers.
You guarantee success for men reading this book?
If they use the techniques in this book, they will dramatically increase their odds. Yes, I guarantee it.
From looking through this raunchy book of yours, I can see that you have a very low regard for women in general. You treat them like pieces of meat, like tramps. You have no regard for women, do you?
Well, let me put it this way. It's a good question. It's a good question.
Well, give me a good answer.
What I say is that for the average guy is going to be sexually attracted to far more women than he's going to be able to love and respect. That's just a reality, Wally. That's a reality of human biology. Men will do it with anyone who attracts them.
But you have no regard or respect for women.
That's not true. That's not true. Maybe
you treat women in this book like they're nothing more than tramps.
Absolutely wrong. What I say is that when it comes to sex, women have a massive power advantage. For women, getting some is a choice. For men, getting some is a chore.
Oh,
if you don't recognize that, you are going to get your head beat in.
Hey, I have news. For him, getting some is impossible.
And the show is fixed. He told you, he said, okay, at this point, I'll throw you off. I said, okay. Before the show started, I cut my teeth on that. For those who don't know that expression, that means you get your chops, you polish. So I already knew how to do it when I went in on those shows later. When I had a toll-free number, 1-800-666-STUD. 1-800-666-STUD. That was my toll-free number. Don't dial it now. I don't know what it's been disconnected for 35 years, whatever. And then in my family, I grew up in a big Jewish family. And of course, we were debaters and argued. And I got attention by being the goof, the clown, and provoking people. I tried to provoke my mother by saying, Mom, I'm a Christian. I believe in Jesus. And I was 6 years old. She'd say, what do Christians believe? And I'd say, well, I don't really know. And she would say, okay, go to the encyclopedias. I want a full 2-page report on what Christians believe. By tomorrow morning, if you write a good one, I'll give you a silver dollar. Back then, money was actual silver. And if you don't give me a good one, you're grounded for a week. So I didn't mind. I learned through provoking my mother. Hold on one second. Yeah. You hold on a second?
Yeah.
And speaking of plugging, this is my new book on Amazon.
The Subconscious Sales Advantage, how to increase your sales 30% or more in only 90 days. Nice.
Just came out on Amazon 2 weeks ago. You can read it in an hour. You can read it in 1 hour. It's 40 pages. So if you can't read this without moving your lips in 1 hour, you're a retard. It's good shit. It tells you basically how to use speed seduction to sell shit. It's really, really, really good. Good stuff. Have you heard of Caleb Jones, alpha male?
Yeah, I think you told me about that. You helped him increase.
I coached his team. I increased his closings from 13% to 84%, which is a huge increase. So yeah, this is what I'm into now. My seduction business is all going to AI, and then super high level elite people who pay me like $50K for a weekend. And even then I won't take them in the field because that's not true. I will, but for maybe 90 minutes, I find it so fucking boring and like pulling teeth.
Tell us more about Speed Seduction AI.
Oh, Speed Seduction AI. Well, we trained it. We're still in the process of training it to teach you to seduce and pick up women my way. So if you say things like, I've got this friend, can you give me a language pattern and a step-by-step plan to turn her into my girlfriend? It'll tell you exactly what to do. And then when you go and do something, you input what you did, it'll scan through it and go, no, here's where you made mistakes. Here's what you did right. Here's what you need to do differently. Here's a word for word thing to go back and tell her. Now we're about 6 months away from developing it in a way where we can suck up their texts and actually read what they're texting to the woman, and based on that, guide them on what to say. That's a ways away. That's maybe 6 to 9 months away. We just rolled it out of beta. It's out of beta. Our model right now is it's free for 7 days, and then it's $25 a month. We are working hard on it. I've got a great team of people. We just added a great team member. So yeah, and I can't say anything more than that, but we have the potential to expand it massively. And I love my students. I've had a very fantastic and storied career, but ICE, if someone asked you the same questions, if you had the same people, not the same people, but you were asked the same questions over 30 years, don't you think you'd want to strangle someone even? And also, one of the reasons why I never stepped down for good is I thought I'm the only one who could help these people. But now I've got the AI. I've hung up my cape. I've come down off my cross. And I had the realization 6 months ago, superheroes don't get paid for what they do. When Superman rescues the airplane, it doesn't say, okay, motherfuckers, you all owe me $500. He just takes a round of applause and takes off. That's the work as a fucking reporter. Who wants that? And of course, messiahs get crucified and they don't get any reward either. They don't get pussy. They don't get money. I don't want any bit of it.
Yeah, so it kind of immortalizes you. That's kind of what I realized too.
This is more fun because it's a new application and I get to work with people who are not emotionally broken. You understand? And people have, this is no shit. People have to apply to work with me because I'm the most expensive coach and trainer and sales trainer you'll ever be glad you hired. They have to apply. I'm thinking of going back. I'm going to kick this idea around with my operations manager and say, you know what? It's not free to apply. You have to pay $197 non-refundable to get on the phone with me, just to get an initial evaluation.
Interesting.
Ask more questions. I'm liking dominating this.
Yeah. Well, the AI thing is good. I'm also with Message Game AI, MGAI. We also have a 7-day free trial and we sell for $24.99 a month. So very similar right there. And for us, it's pretty straightforward because it's extremely applicable in the sense that what you're getting, because it's the AI wingman for online dating, all about messaging. You're sending a screenshot. Huh?
Yeah, we don't do online. So good on you, man. We're not competitors. We're not teaching people to date online. We're not competing.
Yeah, yours is very physical world. But I guess that kind of means in my sense is kind of easier in a way because for us, by definition, we're using technology for the technology that's used for dating because you can upload a screenshot and then it will give you exactly what to
Is that fucking miraculous or what?
Yeah, but for you have to write it out, so it's a bit more effort.
Dude, I know, dude. A year ago, if someone told you you'd be doing that, would you have believed them?
Well, we did start this a year ago, actually. Just
all right, 2 years ago. 2 years ago, if someone told you that technology is coming, would you have thought, wow, really? Or would you have thought you're out of your fucking mind?
Yeah, out of your fucking mind is probably what
my business partner is a genius at tech and the rest of it. About a year and a half ago, we've taken time to get this off the ground. He said, listen, Paul, which is my legal name. Right now, your Blockbuster and Netflix is coming. Do you want to, how many Blockbuster stores you see around? I don't know if you know Blockbuster. It was a video store where you go and rent. Their whole business model is if you were late with the videos, they would charge you a late fee. That's where they made their money, the late fees, not the rentals. Because the late fees could wind up being 5-6 times the rental fees. I said, what do you mean, Netflix? He said, come to the boat. I'll fucking show you. He lives on a boat. And he shows me the early versions with Chat GPT and some other stuff. And I thought, this is a joke, right? Someone is on the other end. He said, nope, this is real. And it's just a baby compared to what's coming down the line. So I think tech is going to put a lot of traditional businesses that sell courses and the rest of it are going to go away. AI is to a lot of businesses the way the internet was. When I remember the dawn of the internet and going to marketing conferences and people were saying, this internet thing, what do you think? And many people said, we advise caution. We think this is just a fad. It's going to pass. People didn't know. I had no idea how big the internet would get. I jumped in early only because I had a computer hacker who was a fan of mine. But I had no idea how big it would get. No one knew.
Crazy. Yeah. Let's talk about some mystery stories, I guess. Yeah, so I remember when I first interviewed you, before the cameras were rolling, we didn't get to film this, unfortunately, but you were talking about something fascinating about Mel's Diner every week or something. You,
Yeah.
Mystery, Owen, several others, Nick and Neil would be there.
And there are a couple other names I don't remember. Yeah. And Owen was like 19 and obviously on the spectrum. And I think he's admitted that he's on the spectrum. Nothing wrong with that.
Yes.
He's definitely on the spectrum. But he would just sit there and not say anything, look at everyone like this. And yeah, we'd sit there and shoot the shit and have fun and tell stories. That was an interesting time. Project Hollywood, I got invited to stay there. I said, no, I like my peace. I like my quiet. I like to sleep at night. And I'm long past the days of joining a fraternity. Thank you, guys. Not happening.
Yeah, so
Eric has always been, let me just say something. Eric has always been very deferential, very polite, very kind to me. I've never in person ever had him be anything other than extremely respectful. And I think Eric has been ripped off and conned. Thank goodness he found his current business partner, Robert Beck, who's a great guy. I know Baxter. Robert Beck is an English fellow who actually started out with my first book when he was 18, 19 years old, as a teenager. And I don't know exactly the circumstances where he met Mystery, but he's been very good. Eric was in a very dark place when Robert.
He was going to join this call, actually. I think he was going to join us today, actually, right now, but he had a date or something.
Eric or Robert?
Robert Baxter, yeah.
I love Baxter. That would have been great to talk to him.
Oh, yeah, perfect. I'm going to have to clip this and show him, why did you have this date instead of hanging out?
He actually brought me a lovely Swedish girl to one of my seminars, a sacrifice, an offering.
Yeah,
love you for that, Baxter.
Super friendly.
Baxter, if you're watching this, you're a stand-up guy. Thank you for Charlotte, the AKA the succubus.
Succubus. Okay, moving on. Yeah, I'm interviewing Mystery soon. What stories can you tell from back in the day?
I remember my first meeting with him vaguely. It was me, Neil, Mystery, and one of Mystery's business partners, Chris Odom, Lovedrop, I think. And we all met up and we were playing with a waitress and it was fun. I just remember meeting him that way. And I know he was hanging out, living in a small apartment in Hollywood with Lovedrop and a couple other people who didn't treat him well. Mystery has been ripped off by, this is a true story. And the dates are mangled in my mind. I'm old. But many, many years ago, I was still living in Marina Del Rey, which was, I've been here 9 years in San Diego. It was at least 20 years ago. Eric's business partner at the time, Chris Odom, invited me to go have sushi. I said, okay. We're having sushi in the marina. He says, you should get to be friends with Eric. And at the time I didn't know Eric. I said, I don't like Eric and I don't like what he teaches. Why would I want to be friends with him? He shocked me. He said, I don't like Eric either. I said, what? You're his business partner and you're his friend. He said, I may be his business partner, but I only pretend to be his friend. I said, Chris, that's sociopathic. He said, no, you don't understand. I have a monkey. And I want to know what the monkey knows. So I put the pet monkey in a cage and I studied the monkey while it's in the cage. And I thought to myself, this guy's fucking sick. I swear to you, this is true. I may get some of the exact dates wrong. And I know it was sushi. It was something I remember. It was called Top Cloud Sushi, right in the same strip mall as California Pizza Kitchen, where I took Neil and trained Neil. Yeah, but that's what happened. And he's not unique. Odom. Many people ripped off Mystery. Real Social Dynamics. I saw what Tyler was doing in the book, The Game. I said to Neil, I predict that Tyler will rip Mystery off. And Neil said I chalked it up to Ross's competitive paranoia, but Tyler Durden was soon to prove him right.
Mm.
Mystery is one of the few originals who's been ripped off. I think more than I've been ripped off, he's been ripped off. There's so many different companies, they're teaching Mystery Method. Now, I don't agree with Michael Sartain as far as the idea that anybody can set up a situation where they're surrounded by women, but at least he and Blitzarian, what the fuck?
Dan Bilzerian.
Yeah. At least they're proffering up something. I think it's smoke and mirrors for the most part. Not that I know last time I was on, Sartain showed screenshots of people who abuse the system. But look, my clients have been professionals, lawyers who are in their 40s and 50s, accountants, people who are entrepreneurs who work 40 hours a week. And they're in their 40s and 50s. They don't have time to create fashion shows and that kind of shit. They're busy career people. They can't rely on that. It's a unique subset of people who can do it. Now, Sartain is telling the truth. I don't think his testimonials are fake. I believe that he's being real, but I still think it's a small subset and demographic of people who can pull it off or even would want to.
So I do know that he would say that people who work in the nightlife industry, it's a very simple transition for them. And I suppose he would argue that lawyers can do it too. In fact, I think there was a lawyer that I did meet.
When does someone with a thriving law practice have time to do that?
Well, I suppose I'm no lawyer myself, but I suppose they could always find some kind of way. It doesn't have to be like photo shoots necessarily. But if there's something that complements their business in some way, then it could probably lead to something beyond whatever we perceive is going on.
I don't see it. By the way, that's your book over your shoulder, over your left shoulder. I swear to you, this is true, Ice. That book, without an envelope, was sitting on the mail section, the mailboxes. It was just sitting out there in my apartment complex. There it was. And I asked you about it. I said, did you send a copy to me? So I'm going to ask you again. Did you send me a copy of that book?
This book, The Message Game, just to plug it in here on my own fucking show.
Did you send me a copy of that book?
So I think because the book, we give the book to people who sign up to MGAI, and as long as they give their details and other requirements, and then it's shipped to them like once a month on a monthly basis. Not on a fuck. I'm butchering my own words here.
Yeah,
but
I never.
It's distributed once a month.
I never signed up for your AI. So I can only surmise that means that someone in my apartment complex read it, didn't like it, or whatever. Or I don't know. Someone in my apartment complex must be one of your subscribers. And they put the book out there for some hapless guy to to use. But so you're saying you did not send it to me individually as a joke?
Listen, I have never been to San Diego. It wasn't me.
All right. Okay. All right. I'm just curious.
That's crazy though.
Yeah.
So it was just there and you saw it outside.
It was sitting there. It was sitting there on top of where the mailboxes are, just sitting there. Wasn't in an envelope, it was just sitting there.
And it wasn't in a designated, like it wasn't for this guy or that guy. It was just on top of something.
Yeah. And it was in no envelope. It was just a book.
That is fucking weird.
I told you it was fucking weird. That's why I connected with you as soon as I could and said, really?
I fucking love coincidences though. Yeah, I did see there was an order that came through, not for the book necessarily, but for MGAI. There was a guy who was living in a place, and I looked it up and I was like, oh shit, I actually stayed there before. These weird coincidences. And last year when I went to Edinburgh in Scotland, my wife booked an Airbnb, which was literally next door, not 2 houses away, but next door to the Airbnb I stayed in a few years before, when I went there for a first date. Like as a first date, not for a first date. Just like pure coincidences. I always fucking love that kind of shit.
Okay, you got any more questions for me, big boy? Where is everybody? But
Mark is disappeared.
Do give Baxter my sincerest regards.
Yeah, he's a great guy, solid guy to talk to. Yeah, so you mentioned mystery being ripped off. There, it was very apparent in the game that there was social dynamics and then real social dynamics. And then real social dynamics went on to dominate for fucking years until disappearing a few years ago.
Did they disappear? That was after Julian Blank really fucked them up.
Well, that was 2014, but RSD kind of disappeared 2018, 2019.
Yeah, Tyler turned into self-improvement and like this bizarre backwoods bearded Tony Robbins kind of dude. I actually was on stage with him, or was a co-speaker at this event from this bullshit hypnotist, and it's a long story. But he's since gone on to success coaching in general. It's their business model that I just couldn't abide. Their whole business model of holding boot camps and then saying to people who attend the boot camps, okay, now you've graduated. Do you want to become a trainer? Putting them through some rinky-dink training, charging them a fat fee, and saying, okay, this is your territory. You can train people here. We take a percentage. But I personally know of students who've come to me over the years and said, these kids or these trainers for the boot camp were taking us in field, they couldn't even talk to a girl. So people hold up examples like Jeffy and Julian as people who are really good with women. I get it, but that's not the majority of the instructors from my experience. I could be getting it wrong inaccurately, but I know at least in some circumstances, the instructors were just people who paid the dough and got the franchise, so to speak. But it's a brilliant model. You have hundreds of people running boot camps all over the world. And RSD was also very insular. It was sort of cultish in that sense.
Interesting. So I know that after RSD, there are now something called Self-Mastery Co. And some of them still work together. So Julian Blanc is still there. Owen Cook, of course, is still there. Jeff Allen is still there. Madison is still there. I don't know Madison. Pretty much it.
Oh, Madison's the woman.
No, Madison's the African guy from Montreal. Canadian guy.
Yeah.
A little lesser known, but anyway, yeah, I was kind of interested that that Chris Odom Lovedrop thing is completely fucking insane. I never would have expected that.
No, what a cunt. What a fucking piece of shit cunt.
Damn. Like he has dropped off the radar. People don't know what happened to him.
I hope he's doing 15 to 20 and a nine, and his soft white body is being passed around like matzah at a Passover Seder, to use metaphors, one Jew to another. And that thing, you can't do it because you're a Jew and has a big nose. What a anti-Semitic racist comment is that? We don't know big noses.
Hey, well,
I do.
someone told
I
me
do.
actually, the bigger your nose is, the bigger there's a correlation scientifically between your nose size and your penis size, apparently.
Well, I have a nose job. That means my dick is shorter now.
Wait, you did?
Oh, yeah, when I was 17 as a graduation gift from my parents.
What?
Yeah. Crisscross applesauce, I swear.
That's crazy. That's a super young age. That's so random
This
to
is
me.
my other book on sales, Subtle Words That Sell, and the Subconscious Sales Advantage. I'm wearing the same suit, see?
Making use of that. Yeah, so last thing about mystery. So you mentioned that you didn't like mystery, or at least this was before you
That's
met him.
because I didn't know him. I hadn't really met him. I met him, but I didn't know him.
What teachings from mystery do you like? Do you agree with?
I have insights into some of his teaching that very few people, I don't believe in DHVs and negging and all the rest of that bullshit. However, I see what he's doing. I don't think he is aware of it as being hypnotic in the sense that you're interrupting a woman's patterns. When you interrupt a pattern, you create a state of temporary focus and suggestibility. I'm fucking with you there. So here's an example. He goes into the club, right? And the first thing he does is he goes to the set, and does he talk to the most beautiful girl? No, he ignores her. That already is interrupting her pattern of expectation. The next thing he does, so she's starting down the road of making her suggestible. Next thing he does is get her girlfriends to start turning on her and laughing at her. That again is a huge pattern interrupt, isn't it? Right? That's going to confuse the shit out of her. Confusion is a very common and powerful technique in hypnosis. If you can artfully confuse someone, they will go into a trance. And then what does he do? He starts negging. Now, what is negging really designed to do? I have this insight that no one does. It's designed to confuse. It's a confusion technique. The woman is confused because she can't tell if she's being complimented or she's being insulted and put down. You understand? It's another way to induce confusion. So confusion piled on confusion, piled on confusion, piled on confusion creates a very pliable, suggestible person. Nothing wrong with it. And then he takes them into seclusion and does more hypnotic techniques. He once told me, I swear on my cat's fluffy tails, I take him in isolation and I do speed seduction stuff. Not that he's using language patterns, but he's creating trances, doing shit, demonstrations of things. So I'm the first and only person to view it that way. Now, maybe my view is skewered and prejudiced because I'm a hypnotist and I tend to see things through that lens. But does that make sense as I've explained it to you?
Yeah.
I said that to Chris Odom. That was my contribution to the meeting.
Oh, okay. I see. How would you adapt your? So this question's a bit weird, but I don't know. Let's give it a try anyway from the community. How would you adapt your game to get a young quality woman who PUAs tend to see as prude, who hasn't had sex with an absurd amount of men? So, and a conservative woman, let's say, but
what does that mean, conservative?
Well, or are you familiar with what this person is kind of saying by prude? It's like let's see what I can.
I don't know where their definition is. The classical definition is someone who's physically cold and looks down on sex.
Kind of. Not in that way though. More like she's seemingly non-sexual. She hasn't had sex with many men or
I've
any
done
at
that.
all.
Yeah, sure. This whole bullshit thing that I've heard, men, high quality men are looking for virgins. What? I don't want a fucking virgin. Virgins suck at sex. Why would I want that? If women are virgins into their late 20s or even mid 20s, they're probably super religious, in which case I don't want anything to do with them, or they're traumatized, in which case I don't want anything to do with them. I don't want a virgin. I understand a low body count. I don't want someone who's seen more dick ends than weekends to be unoriginal. That joke is not original with me. Now, I'm not going to claim credit for something that I myself did not create. Yeah, I don't want that. But having said all that, yeah, I've absolutely done that.
So let's see what it says here. The guy was asking, how would you adapt your game to get this type of woman as opposed to a woman who's more sexualized or promiscuous?
I don't want someone who's promiscuous because it's shocking. I asked someone, who was it? Met a young woman. How old was she? She was like 18. We were just chatting casually. I said, what's your friends? You have friends. Which girlfriend has the highest body count at 18? She said, I have a friend who has over 30 men. She's been with over 30 men. I said, 18? Yeah, 30 men. No, thank you. Yeah, I see the look on your face. Like, really? Gross.
Yeah. No way. Okay, here's a kind of different one. What would you be doing if you weren't a dating coach? So I can add a little more to this because I remember you were, oh, there we go. Okay, fair enough. That's a simple enough.
You read it in an hour, it's $6.95 on Amazon.
There we go. I remember you saying back in the 60s, I think you saw what could have been a UFO, but I'm not going to put words in your
I
mouth.
did.
It was
I
something.
absolutely did. I absolutely did. And subsequently, much later in the 80s, right near strike that, early 90s, right near Area 51, not on the base, but back then they had enough public land before the government bought it up, where you could actually not see the base itself, but see things that they were flying around. Every Wednesday night around 10, they'd fly around. You couldn't see the shape, but you could see that they were moving in. Have you seen the Tic Tac UFO video?
No, I don't think I did.
If you put in Nimitz, that's the name of the aircraft carrier, and Tic Tac, like the candy, don't do it now, but you'll see this thing is moving around, zipping around, not obeying any laws of aerodynamics. We could see lights doing that. And one of them took on a diamond shape, glowed different colors, and it either disappeared or it took off too fast for the eye to follow. So yeah, what was your question about the UFO in the 60s?
Yeah, so I remember you said at a very young age, you found a very strong sense of purpose.
That's
And
true.
there was a lot of prophecy, I suppose we can say. And you even mentioned before this
your
was
word.
privately known.
That's not my word. I don't want people to go around saying Ross Jeffries prophesies. I don't believe that. That's your word. Everybody watching, that's ICE's word, not mine.
And I remember you said someone famous set you up to create the NLP application for seduction.
No, what I said is my mentor, Richard Bandler, who's the co-creator of NLP, who subsequently was a guest on my podcast, The Influencer's Edge, That's the influencer's edge, available on every platform. Subsequently, he's a guest on my podcast. Richard Bandler hypnotized me back in the 80s, late 80s, and in trance told me that I would take NLP in an entirely different direction and create a whole new field for NLP. Then he gave me amnesia for it, so I didn't remember it for 10 years. I was working on speed seduction, but I didn't remember that incident where Richard did that until many years later under an odd set of circumstances.
What word is odd set of circumstances? I'm curious.
And it's not, the story is a long one. It has to do with, excuse me, when a reporter did a story for the Rolling Stone. It's not worth going into.
Alrighty. Okay, here's one. What does the, probably asked you this a few times before in some kind of aspect. What does the pickup artist community need to do better?
Shut itself down.
Okay, moving on. I gotta pick these questions quickly now. Okay. What do you think about the advice to just be yourself?
That's saying that's like a kid in diapers saying, I'm just going to be myself and crap my pants from the rest of my life. When you say just be yourself, what it really means is just do what you're habitually used to doing. Don't step outside your comfort zone.
Do you feel the seduction community really misses things like advice on relationships and keeping women, and it just becomes so obsessed with chasing?
Yes. 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 Although you can use speed seduction to implant suggestions and set anchors and the rest of it to keep a woman happy and under your spell, so to speak. But who understands relationships these days? There's only one woman I've ever seen who gives great advice. Her name is Esther Perel, I think, Perel, not to be confused with Pearl. Esther.
Yeah, she's Belgian-American psychologist.
She's a genius. What she says is real. She talks about the necessity of couples fighting, but then she talks about how to fight in a way where things are not going to be destroyed, and then how to repair the relationship when you've had a bad fight. She's a genius.
She had a masterclass, if you know about that, where some famous people give their own kind of like video seminars for like a mini course, basically. And George Bush has his own one, and a bunch of other former presidents.
On
It's
how to
kind of
wage
fascinating.
a war under phony intelligence.
Yeah, I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna watch the Bill Clinton one and the George Bush one. This is just gonna be fucking fascinating. It does get pretty crazy, but she had her own one. It was getting pretty fascinating, but my membership discontinued. I was using like a third party thing. Another slightly strange one. What advice is good for beginners but should be dropped to become more advanced?
That's a good question. What advice is good for beginners? It's not that it should be dropped. It's will naturally fall away. So in NLP, they talk about 4 stages. First stage is unconscious incompetence. You're incompetent, you don't even know it. Then there's conscious incompetence, where you know you're incompetent. Then there's conscious competence, where you know what you're doing, but you have to make efforts to do it. Then there's unconscious competence, where it's absorbed and become part of who you are. So I don't necessarily say you shouldn't do it anymore. I say it will drop away as you master the levels of skill. Man, that was a smart question. For someone who's got a head full of cold medicine, I'm doing well here.
Yeah, when I was looking at this question, I was thinking, Because a lot of guys start with routines and stuff like that, and then they
What?
use that in the beginning and then try to come up with their own kind of, not lines, but something different for each situation.
Yeah, I teach my students who are advanced and are willing to pay me how to adapt. They'll start out with my own language patterns, Discovery Channel, Incredible Connection, the Dream Pattern, Heart on Sleeve. They'll start with my stuff, but I had a student who did, I said, look, you've got to have something in your life that you do that would be captivating to women if you told them about it. He said, well, I helicopter ski. I said, what the fuck, you helicopter ski? And you don't think that's interesting? I said, tell me about helicopter skiing. He said, well, I hire a helicopter. The helicopter meets me at the base of the mountain. I jump in, they fly me up to the top, and I get my skis on and I hop out and I ski down the mountain. I said, dude, now you need to make it colorful. So you say to the woman, well, first thing I do, and I don't know how well you can imagine this as I describe it, Debbie, is you see the helicopter approaching. The closer it gets, the more you start to feel your heart pounding hard, pounding so hard. And then I have them go through the descriptions, the anticipation, feeling the roar of the engine and the rumbling of something so big that your whole body starts to shake. You understand? I taught him to make it descriptive and interesting and imaginative. And that's what he used. So at an advanced level, I can show you how to, if you've got a boring fucking life and you have no actual passions, then I can't teach you how to create those passions into language patterns. You've got a different kind of problem.
Yeah, let me just quick fire a few opinion questions. What are your opinions on Neil Strauss?
Brilliant writer, a fucked up human being.
How?
Neil gets off on betraying people. He cheated on his wife before their marriage with his wife's best friend. He did his best to seduce all of his coaches' girlfriends. He fucked my favorite ex-girlfriend without asking my permission. Neil gets off on betraying people. That's what he digs. But he's a brilliant
writer. Nick Coe.
Who?
Nick Coe. He was the co-founder of Real Social Dynamics, RSD Papa.
I met him. This is many years ago, dude. This is 2004. The game was written in 2005. So how many years ago was that? 20 years ago. My impression of Nick is that he's a really smart businessman. He was Tyler Owen's become a brilliant businessman, but back then he was the face of it, and Nick was doing the business part. It's funny, I'm like a historian from the dawn of time.
I was actually thinking of putting together like a timeline of like events. I don't know, it sounds kind of nerdy, but
well, before me, when I was in college in the late 70s and early 80s, there was a book called How to Pick Up Girls by Eric Weber, where he interviews hot women. He was an advertising guy, and he wrote this book, How to Pick Up Girls. I bought it for $10 back in those days. I couldn't get it to work. You find it? Eric Weber, W-E-B-E-R. Probably a Jewish boy like me and you. What is it with Jews and all the, like, Strauss is Jewish, I'm Jewish. There's a Nazi thing called the Stormer, and they did an article about how all the pickup artists are Jews. And they had pictures of us wearing a yellow star that said Judah. And they said that claimed that Mystery was Jewish, which he's not, to the best of my knowledge.
What the fuck? I saw another parallel with a lot of pickup artists being Canadian. You know, Mystery, Owen, although small population though. Can't name too many names. There's also Madison, of course.
Hey,
but
Captain Kirk and the original Captain Kirk and Mr. Spock were both Jewish. Shatner and Nimoy, Jews. Fuck
Something
Hamas,
about
go Israel, go Israel. Fuck Hamas, kill every single Hamas terrorist currently breathing.
Well, I'm gonna have to change my YouTube monetization settings now. Damn, that's a
Why?
note to myself.
Why
Because they got when uploading a video, they have this kind of monetization checker thing.
And you can't say fuck Hamas?
You can, but it means now there are less advertisers who want to monetize your video.
Because you're against parents who use their own children as human shields? That's appalling.
Yes, exactly. Well, this is, yep, advertisers for you. That's all I can say, I guess.
I didn't say genocide Palestine. I said fuck Hamas. They're terrorists.
Yeah, even so, just mentioning something even as simple as that. I
How
don't know.
about
I'll
I
have to
love
look at it.
Israel? How about I love Israel? Can I say that?
Oh, of course, of course, of course. I believe we can.
You can? Oh wow. Jesus.
Yes.
I'll sing Hot Tikva. I'll sing
Moving
Hot
on.
Tikva. You know what Hot Tikva is?
No.
It's the Israeli national anthem. What kind of Jew are you?
One that has been away for a while. I have never been there. Never been to Israel.
Well, you should go. The women are smoking. Hottest women in the world, and I've traveled. Of course, they're all carrying automatic rifles, but that's another story.
That only increases the appeal,
I
if anything.
know, right?
I sense danger and I love it.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Alrighty, next one. So you already mentioned fuck, what's this guy's name? Chris Odom, Lovedrop. What about Stan Tayi, Matador?
He's my I didn't have a lot of contact with him, but from what I saw, it appeared to me that he was doing a lot of coke, which subsequently someone who was close to him verified. That was my that was my guess, because he was always and hyped up. So maybe he had a bad sinus infection. I don't think so.
Oh, God. Alrighty, I suppose that's all the questions I got from now. Anything you want to put out there or discuss before we bring it to a close?
I can read from the book.
Okay, what do you think is perhaps a highlight from this book?
Couple of principles. Number one, you're never selling your product or service. You're always selling decisions and good feelings about decisions. Principle number two, whatever you can get your prospect to imagine for themselves will be perceived by them as being their own idea. And one of the best ways to get them to imagine things is to be deliberately vague and even a little confusing. So there's a time in any sale or persuasion or presentation to be specific. That's when you're presenting the data, facts, number, figures. But first, you want to be vague. You want to be vague in a way that it creates states of focus, attention, not just trust in you, but trusting themselves. Because nowadays, people don't trust their own ability to make a good decision. If there's got to be some people here who are into sales. And so, as salespeople, you've been taught your prospect has to know, like, and trust you. That's true, but nowadays it's no longer enough. You have to get them to focus. Number one, focus is the currency of any form of influence, whether it's politics, whether it's something from stage, whether it's done in the video. You got to get people to focus right away. And you've got to get them to begin to imagine things for themselves. And that involves being vague and confusing and not making the message clear. So as an example, if I were doing a sales presentation, the typical thing to say is make some jokes, warm up the audience and say, all right, today I'm going to be showing you our new Fragistat software. I think you're really going to like it because it enables you to integrate your Sucka Waka Waka software and do 15% faster calculations, saving you 33% for the end user, integrating your engineering and marketing interface. Ask questions if you want to. I would say something like, before we begin our exploration together today, I'm not sure all the ways you might stop, and find yourself growing more and more fascinated about what it is we're learning together. But as that's taking place, will you promise me one thing? Will you promise you'll share the questions that naturally arise when a great decision's being made? Now, that sounded grammatically correct. I didn't say colorless ideas dream furiously, which actually is grammatically correct. It was vague, but in order to make sense of it, they have to discover where they're going to become fascinated. I didn't say 3.5 minutes into the conversation, you'll become fascinated because you'll really like the color display. I give them suggestions to find themselves getting fascinated. I don't know if that makes any sense or not. I've got to let you go because it's time for my weekly shower and bush trimming.
Go. Okay.
I'm just fucking with you, man. I love talking to you, Ice. My thoughts are with you in your difficult times with your wife. I know it must be a horrific thing, and you're putting on a good face, and I appreciate that, but got to be a terrible thing.
Yeah.
I did see, I shit you not, I don't remember where I saw it, that with glio, I get science bulletins with I don't know if it's a glioblastoma, or even if you even want to talk about it on the air, but there's some new research showing that there's vaccines for it or some kind of genetic thing. So anyway, my thoughts are truly with you and with your wife.
Yeah, thanks. She's actually down to the last few days of chemotherapy now. So soon her cancer treatment will be over until it strikes back again, inevitably, because there's no cure for it, as far as we know. But yeah, so that means, fortunately, because we're being stuck on this island that we're on in Europe for a while now, because as it's brain cancer, cabin pressure on planes would be very bad for her.
Yeah.
But soon, in just a month from now, we'll be heading out. We'll be going to Japan. Then we'll be going back to the East Coast, Canadian East Coast, Nova Scotia, and then we'll be back in Peru for a while, and we're all good from there.
You're all over. I'm a homeboy here in San Diego.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've never been in California, but I was just there a few months ago for 1 hour in Los Angeles airport. And yes, that was very underwhelming. Yeah, anyway, thanks for joining. Finally I'll be breaking out of this.
Remember, the Subconscious Sales Advantage, $7 available on Amazon right now. Go grab it.
I'll put a link in the description.
And you'll see a little story in here. The guy who wrote the forward, Chase Hughes, writes a little bit of a story. You want to hear a little bit from the forward? This is written by Chase, who does secret projects for the government. All right. Let me take you back 6 years to a clandestine project for government training. It was then I first crossed paths with Paul. That's my real name. His fame as the world's expert in persuasive linguistics was not just hearsay. It was a palpable truth. You can probably imagine my astonishment when, within a mere 30 seconds, this is a true story, Paul delivered a solution that eluded countless academics and so-called experts. His words were not just answers, they were keys to a locked door I had long struggled to open. So the government has used my work, ladies and gentlemen, for look up the word clandestine.
Israel will be clandestine. I mean, wait, what?
What?
Forget it. Okay, anyway, Palestine, clandestine, just a lame play on words there. Anyway,
You're
thanks
lost
for
me there,
joining
buddy.
as usual. I promise I was not here just waiting for an hour and a half or however long. There were people here before, I promise you that. And they
I
literally
am the
left
first.
a minute
There's no
before I
one
began.
before me. I am the first and I am the last, the alpha and the omega.
You
I
get
gotta
the
go.
final word. So what is that final word?
Pick up seduction. They're just subsets of the larger set of self-mastery. It's a part of mastering yourself, your emotions, the way you walk through the world, your beliefs, what you're willing to do, your communication skills. Those who don't teach it with that orientation are missing the plot. That's all I have to say. Shalom.
Right, thanks. All right, guys. So that was a smaller panel than before. I want you guys to comment your questions for the next panel and who you would like to see. If you know a dating coach or something related to dating, and believe they will be great for the dating coach panel, then send them to me, send them my way, and I'll gladly try to fit them in somewhere. The kind of issue I've been having is I want to never include people in more than 2 consecutive episodes. And I find because this is a dating coach panel, there are only so many people that we can use. So we have a lot of reappearances, but I try to limit the consecutive episodes that we do. The next one is going to be a special, actually, an Asian special. So let's see who we have lined up for that. We have Deepak Wayne, Justin Mark, and Mike Squatting Casanova. There are also some others we invited that haven't responded yet. But send me the names of anyone who's Indian, Chinese, Japanese, Korean, anywhere in Asia apart from Siberia, basically. And or maybe, I don't discriminate, but we shall see. And I will be there because I am 1% Asian, probably. I'm fucking running it, so I have to be there anyway. But send me the names of anyone you think should be on the next panel too, as well as your questions. If you need an AI wingman for online dating, sign up to MGAI and you will receive a copy of the message game if you become a paying subscriber. This will be a paperback copy shipped to you because I am old school like that and I fucking love it. I don't give a shit if you already have one. We're going to give you another one just for the fucking sake of it. If you end up with 2, I know people that actually bought 6 of them or more. It's pretty crazy. We get some pretty solid fans out there. And they give some copies to their friends, of course. If you end up with more than 1 book, send it to your friend. Or the classic American Pie franchise. You might remember there was a movie called The Book of Love, and there was a high school library, and under the shelves there was this little secret section that a few people would find each year, and they would add their little sex secrets to it. So let's turn this into the Book of Love. Don't hide it under a shelf somewhere. But if you want to take your copy, if you're finished with it or have a spare, into a public library or something, put it in a really juicy section for the next person to pick up. What the fuck am I even talking about? But that's just something that would be pretty cool. Maybe a little bit nerdy, but fuck it, what can we do? You'll also get access to other bonuses such as the Tinder profile checklist, so you know exactly what you need to put in your bio, how long your bio needs to be, what photos to aim for, what photos to not have in your profile. If you ignore this fucking thing, you will fucking fail miserably. And don't fucking come to me saying, I say, don't know why I won't get any matches. And then I see your profile and it's nothing but fucking selfies of you sitting on a bus. And that's a real example I have seen. Don't be that fucking guy who has fucking selfies on a bus. Where are my matches? Where the fuck you think? you're so lame, even the bus people don't want to sit next to you or match with you. And another bonus is the MGAI webinar, where you get to spend time with me and I go through your Tinder profile, your Hinge profile, your Bumble profile, your Instagram profile, your messages, your photos, whatever else is useful. And we get to improve your message game and improve your profile. You need to realize that online dating is now the dominant force in terms of how men and women meet each other for a dating context since 2013, approximately, according to a Stanford study led by Michael J. Rosenfeld. I have talked to this guy recently. I have seen the interesting data points since the 1940s. And from 2013, now online dating is the #1. So you cannot rule out online dating. And, even if you don't like online dating for whatever fucking excuse you have, whatever reason you have, because you don't have good photos or because, I don't know, the girls are ugly who use dating apps, you're a fucking dumbass. Stop making excuses. I matched on Tinder with a L'Oreal model who became my girlfriend. I had so many other amazing experiences just from Tinder alone. But online dating isn't just Tinder. Online dating is Instagram, it's Facebook, it's your presence on the internet. And having a lack of presence on the internet, just you cease to exist beyond the physical world. Once you go home, you're nowhere to be seen. But if you go home and you have a powerful internet presence, then you are everywhere at the same time and you are accessible and things just become so much easier.